Welcome to the Vault Excel. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Hello, A1 Street, A-Way Street, A1 Way Street. Sorry about that. A little tongue-tied today. Trying to get it together. Thank you for joining me. What do you mean, honey? Reschedule what? And thank you. I pray this will be a better year for the Queen. Amen. Thank you so very kindly. This is a two-part live trying to knock down the stories as they come in. I'm a couple days behind. Kind of wanted to rest yesterday. So we're going to talk about Kaylee Goncalves, the state she was found in. Her parents have publicly given commentary pertaining to this very dire case and the situation in which their child was unfortunately unalive with her friends. We're also going to talk about Mr. Kohberger, what happened in court. And then the second part of this live is about the Kansas City 3 men who were found deceased in the yard of their alleged friend. We're going to try to dissect the latest information. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie, 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome. And also just subbing to the network and sharing the content for free is also welcome. Thank you so very much. Let's get started with the Kohberger information. News Nation is the source, everybody.
Let's bring in Imran Ansari, trial attorney and legal analyst, to explain a bit more about what we could learn today. Imran, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Break down exactly what these two hearings are and what is being argued in front of the judge today.
Yeah, the two hearings, one open and one sealed, will be really to get Brian Kohberger's defense team with their arguments before this judge. The first hearing, the sealed one, will be looking for reconsideration of their motion to dismiss. Now, the judge denied their motions to dismiss previously. This will be asking the judge to reconsider it. That would be attacking the grand jury presentation. They're saying there was prosecutorial misconduct. Some of the evidence that was admitted to the grand jury was inadmissible. And they're also seeking to unseal their motion papers so the public can have access to those motion papers. They are saying the public has a right to see it. Right now, it's sealed because the judge feels that the grand jury proceedings should be protected. And right now, it's sealed, but they're looking to have that made public.
And is that common to keep a hearing like this, especially in a case that the world is watching hush-hush? Does this happen more often than we think it does?
It happens particularly because there's so much publicity around this case. I think the judge is looking at this case, realizing that the public is so interested, and there is a potential that Brian Kohberger could be prejudiced by all that publicity. And I think we had that seen in his ruling about the camera and the way the camera footage would be played out live in the courtroom. But it is typical when the judge is having considerations as to the privacy concerns and also the sanctity, if you will, of the proceedings.
And talk about, what kind of impact public interest does have in a case like this, and what kind of impact it has on this judge. I mean, the country's following the story. People are rallying, around justice for these slain students as well as their families, this campus. How much does a judge take that into consideration when heading into these hearings and making decisions?
So the public has a right to access to a proceeding like this, a trial, and typically proceedings going on in court. So the judge has to keep that into consideration as part of our justice system, of course. But he also has to consider that he needs to run his courtroom and make sure that the proceedings, the trial, and the hearings before him are not tainted by all that publicity. I think he's having that consideration in mind here. Of course, we're going to see an open hearing today also. And in that open hearing, we're going to be able to see that camera, that YouTube stream from the judge's YouTube channel, where they're going to discuss scheduling, the trial date, and of course some other issues that the judge now feels that the public can see and view.
Yeah, and I think ahead of a couple different hearings today, when you talk about the potential of dismissing charges, or that's what Kohberger's team at least is asking for, I think it makes a lot of people nervous. I mean, realistically, Imran, what's the likelihood that this case gets thrown out on the grounds that Kohberger's team says that they stand on?
If they're able to show that there was some sort of improper evidence that was put before this grand jury, that the proceedings in the grand jury were not followed, and Brian Kohberger's rights were not considered, and the prosecutorial misconduct, they're going to be able to attack that indictment and maybe get it kicked. But does that mean that the case gets dismissed altogether? Not necessarily. If they're able to succeed on that, the prosecution would likely be able to go in and represent to the grand jury this case. But a motion to dismiss in this sort of case is something that is going to be hard to win for the defense. I think that the evidence that we do know against Brian Kohberger with these allegations right now seems to be relatively strong, but we have to wait and see, of course, what the judge rules.
And my last question to you before I let you go, for the hearing that is hush-hush today and kept under lock and key, when will the public find out what went down in that hearing?
One motion before the judge from the defense in that sealed hearing is, of course, to unseal those proceedings related to the grand jury presentations and their motions to dismiss. So now if the judge decides that he wants to unseal that, the public will be able to view the motion papers and also likely the transcripts from those arguments.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. Imran Ansari, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thanks for watching, everybody.
News Nation. Well, a lot to discuss. Cameras in the courtroom, grand jury issues, sanctity of the proceedings. Want to make sure the judge wanted to make sure this man gets a fair shake. I guess no biasness with camera work. This lady is not prepared to go forward. They're wanting sealed information released to the public. And as you also hear, the public has a right to assets pertaining to a trial. So that's why I'm trying to understand, why are we going back and forth with this fool? Because my thing is, you killed people. So what is the problem? Help me understand. What is the problem? Mr. Judge. What is the issue? Just explain to the queen what the issue is. Stole 4 lives. So he gets a fair shake. Basically. He gets a fair shake. Let's go over what took place. Trial delay. 1 day ago, News Nation, everybody. I can't see waiting till June 2025. I really can't. And this lady acts as if she won't even be ready June 25. So she makes more money. Let me make that clear. The longer the trial is put off, that's more money in her pocket, for those that didn't know. And she's getting a substantial amount of money to try this case of against Brian C. Kohberger, because he's also facing the death penalty. So she gets a nice lump sum of money. I can't remember the exact number because it's been a while since I reported that information to you, but it's a lot. It's a lot. We're talking about at least a couple $100,000 to work this case. So we're already in year 1, and she's his legal representation. Now imagine going into another year and a half. If this trial doesn't go to court, this lady will be a millionaire just from trying this case. I want you to think about that for just a second. She will be a millionaire. Frankly, she should be on her way already. Just food for thought, everybody. News Nation.
It is not happening this summer. It may not even happen next summer. And the reason we know that is because there was a hearing today. Here it is. Steve Goncalves was there with a member of the Kernodle family and with his lawyer. And they got good news, and that is that the indictment is not being tossed out. Okay, it is going to go to trial. But then the pitched battle over when. Prosecutors wanted this summer. Defense attorney said, no way in hell can I be ready before next year. And that's hard. That's hard because they have been waiting for answers, just like the rest. It's a gag order, right? I had a chance to speak with Steve Goncalves' attorney, Shannon Gray, a little earlier on. Take a listen. Shannon, what was the process like for Steve Goncalves and his family today? There was so much on the line. Everyone thought we'd get an answer about a trial date, and we didn't.
Well, I try to prep them, for the way things go during this process. That we were either going to get a trial date set, or we were going to not get a trial date set, or the judge was going to take it under consideration, which he's done quite often in the past. And so, going in today and hearing about all of the issues, and then really surprisingly hearing about the request by the defense of a 2025 trial date, which is a long time away, I think was a big gut punch to the family. I don't know if that really, it's been an emotional day, because setting in the idea that they might have to wait, another year or more for a trial date is pretty hard.
It's hard. And that trial may actually end up being more like 3 or 4 months as opposed to 6 weeks, which is what prosecutors suggested. So when we do get a date, maybe 2025, maybe late 25, you're going to have to pencil in a long one. I'll see you back here Monday. Almost next.
Banfield, everybody. So let's go over the information that's been released to the public pertaining to Kohberger. We're talking about a 3 to 4 month trial when it actually happens, perhaps, not a couple of weeks, 6 weeks. A lot of evidence to go over, naturally. So the judge has spoke, the state has spoken in favor of the defense as well, that yes, there is a lot of evidence to go through. So we're not saying that what this Ms. Taylor is assessing in church is not the truth, but a lot of evidence. 2025 projection, perhaps. His lawyer is not ready. The judge did not dismiss the grand jury, indictment. That still stands. There are allegations against the state for misconduct by the prosecution. Very interesting information. No pool cameras, no reporter live tweets. This trial will only stream on the judge's YouTube channel. Kind of selfish, isn't that? Don't you think, Judge? Just a bit. Inadmissible evidence is the claims from the defense. What is it exactly? What is the evidence that you're speaking of? Prosecutor misconduct. What is that you're speaking of? The defense wants motion papers granted to the public, the grand jury information, but the judge feels like that's protected. That's always been protected, and I will agree with that, because you're not supposed to ever release anything about the grand jury proceedings or the people that presided over the grand jury. The judge is worried about prejudice against Brian Kohberger with the cameras, but that's the whole point of having the cameras, is to see how everyone is behaving, including you, Judge. They never show the jury, naturally, out of respect and privacy of the jury members. Watching each person testify, bring their beginning statements, opening statements, closing statements. So what is the problem? I'm trying to understand. What is it that you're so just befuddled about? I don't understand. You're worried about the sanctity of the proceedings. What I'm trying to understand is why you think we as the people can't think for ourselves. We're going to think what we want, whether we publicly speak on it or not. And this is a high profile case only because he murdered 4 people at the same time at a university. And we know that all types of crimes happen in the U.S. and they don't make it to national news, but this is one of those cases that did. So it is what it is. But you will agree that the public needs access to the information. So right now, he has not decided on a trial date. Kohberger's attorney doesn't feel she will be ready this summer. She doesn't even think she'd be ready June of 2025. So as I said, the longer this goes on, it's more stress on the family, the community, the school, relatives, the general public wanting an end to this nonsense. And also this lady gets richer by the moment every day. So the longer it's held out, whether she's qualified or not, whether she's prepared or not. Her pocketbook is going to be full. So how do I know she's not holding out just so she can get more money to be paid? I don't know. I don't know her. I just know she's making a lot of money, and she's getting paid more than the other people that's working the case. And I'm just going to keep it real, because I was stunned at the payments that she's getting. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. So her pocket's going to get fuller. How do you all feel about this information? That she possibly won't be ready this summer of 24, June. Possibly won't be ready June 25, because as they said, it's a lot of evidence to go over, and I get that. And I want to make sure everybody gets it right. Nothing's left undone, nothing left out. All witnesses accounted for. I want it all done by the book, so there won't be any problems later down the road. And he could still, even if he's found guilty, he still could say ineffective counsel. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. She didn't do what I asked. There was other things that weren't mentioned, or other witnesses weren't talked to on my behalf. He could say anything. Because really, in the end, this is a game. This is a dirty game. And attorneys play dirty games at the expense of dead people, sadly, but it's true. Will this trial take place this summer? Will this lady be halfway ready, a third ready by June 24? Let's see what the Goncalves have to say about their child, the discovery of the body after she was brutally unalived by Mr. Kohberger, she and her friends. This is very disturbing information. Because what I have to tell myself is, imagine what these children look like versus the small commentary that they're going to tell you of their child being in the position she was in once discovered. 6 ABC Philadelphia is the source. It's a very short clip. One second. The link is in the chat if you'd like to join us.
21-year-old daughter.
You can like season with these, like apparently season with
Hello
them.
there.
You can cook with them.
Yeah, I know that's in front of the tower.
Yeah.
This is in front of the University of Idaho Tower.
The family still waiting on a full digital copy of Kaylee's phone from authorities.
These are the last moments of your child's life, and you're sitting here fighting with somebody who just doesn't care.
They were able to collect some of Kaylee's belongings from the university over the summer, which raised concerns for them about how well possible evidence was processed, including a trash can from Kaylee's room that was full and appeared untouched.
We opened it. It was a little squeezy applesauce thing that you would give to like a toddler.
Yeah.
It did not appear to have been gone through.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up and had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in a bed.
Tiny room. The bed was the entire room. You could barely open up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And
Wow.
It was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped. I mean, she was trapped.
The home on King Road was torn down in the pre-dawn hours of December 28th.
All right, that's a brief clip from 86 6 out of Philadelphia. So there's something I meant to mention about Kohberger. They also want to change the venue, the defense, but the prosecutor feels like it won't change anything. It won't change the information. Yes, by 2025. She says she doesn't expect to be ready by June this year. She definitely can't even see 2025 of June. Yeah, that's what was said in the commentary I played earlier before you came in. So once again, location is also an issue for the defense. They want to take it out of the jurisdiction of Moscow, which the prosecutor is saying, what difference does it make? I see the outcome being the same. Or let's say he doesn't see anything wrong. Maybe that's what he meant, the outcome. I would agree if that's where he's taking it. Evidence is evidence. You could take it 2 hours, 3 hours up the road, which is going to be too much on the prosecution and people running up and down the highway, you know, with bags and totes of stuff and this and that. Naturally, they probably have to transfer all that stuff in a sealed area, locked area, as to make sure it's safe. Nobody's going through anything. See, all that's just too much trouble. But I got time for all that. Leave the trial where it is. See, you want too much, Miss Taylor. You want too much. You're trying to just haul and stall like you want like the state is just going to say, well, she ain't ready. Let's just drop it. That's what it seems like to me, what she's trying to do. Because you're trying to put forward all these motions about the grand jury and the evidence and this and that and what ain't right and prosecuting misconduct. You just think you're just going to keep going to court asking for all these things, and then either the judge is going to fold or the state's going to fold. That's what it looks like. But he killed 4 people, if we're to believe he's the killer. So, no. Here we have the Goncalves talking briefly about the state of the room that the child was in with her friend, Maddie. As most of you know, the weapon, the sheath was found beside Maddie's. So that would tell you that Maddie would have been on the outside of the bed. Now we hear that the bed was pushed up to the wall and the victim was found sitting upright in the corner. So she was trapped. She couldn't get out. The bed took up most of the room, as you heard the parents say. She couldn't get out. She also fought back. Okay? And that would also account for having more wounds, because we don't know who actually fought back, who fought the hardest, because that does make a big difference to have more substantial wounds if you fought back and you just didn't give in to the brutality. So imagine being in a room where the bed takes up most of the room. I know this, visiting somebody recently. They had a big bed and it took up all the room. And Queen was like, oh, my stars. Big girl can't squeeze over here by the wall. But hey, you do what you got to do to try to sleep comfortable. Now imagine a bed pushed up to the corner of a wall. You're in the corner sleeping and this thing comes in, attacks your friend, then attacks you. And you're trying to get out. You can't get out because you're in the corner. So then you got to ask yourself, was she asleep? Was she already up, awake? And as you hear the mother saying she was shocked, she probably was. You're going to be shocked either way. You're going to be shocked if you're awake. Watching somebody stab your friend. Imagine her trying to stop him from stabbing the girl. This is crazy to me. Imagine being asleep and you hear something jumping on top of your mate. Do you jump up or do you play like you're asleep? Now imagine that. Maybe she played sleep. And then he started attacking her. So then she said, I got to try to fight back. All that weight of somebody on top of you. I cannot imagine. That's why I said I can't imagine it if I was awake. I can't imagine if I was asleep, because you're cornered either way. Lord have mercy. It's a visual I've never wanted to imagine from the moment I found out how the children died. And the thought that a person couldn't even get out of the bed to try to run. You can't even get out of the bed because the bed is taking up most of the room and you're in the corner. You can't get out. And even if it was just one person in the bed, you're still talking about a heavy person towering over you, probably on top of you. I won't doubt that he got on top of Maddie first, unaliving her. We don't know what Kaylee was doing, if she was trying to fight, jump on him, or playing possum like she was asleep. because they can't tell us anything. They are no longer alive to tell us how it really happened in that room. This is a sick situation. Prayers to the families and the friends. Once again, no set date for Kohberger's trial this summer. Defense is not ready. Issues about cameras in the court. As I stated earlier, the judge doesn't want any pool cameras, no reporters doing live tweets during the trial, and it would only be streamed on his YouTube channel. The defense is claiming they want to, I guess, discuss this inadmissible evidence. Evidence was introduced, rather, that they feel is inadmissible. What is that exactly? Prosecutor misconduct. What is that exactly? And they want unsealed paperwork motions to be given to the public. But the judge is worried about the sanctity of the proceedings. So this is why we have all this secrecy and him not wanting cameras and this and that. And then the reporters can't live tweet. So it's like, so what do you want us to do? Just imagine what's going on in the courtroom, Judge? We have had cameras in courtrooms for about 30 years now. What is the problem? I don't understand what the problem is. And how convenient. You have your own YouTube channel. Oh, yeah, we're going to go there because people love complaining about people's content. You have a YouTube channel and you think it's okay for it to only be streamed on your channel, because that's exactly what this commentary said. Now, if there is a correction, then you all take it up with News Nation, because I'm not here to argue about what they said. They said the judge's channel. Let me say it again. Streaming this trial on the judge's channel. Lord have mercy. So, Judge, you with the hustle too, some might say. You and Ann Taylor, y'all probably meet for dinner somewhere down the road. I don't know what the hell's going on. But this ain't good. This ain't good. This ain't good. What a terrible way to go. To suffer as these children suffer. There's also information out about sounds made coming from the house during the crime. CCTV footage of Mr. Kohberger's car. I've got that posted to my community board. It's a bit winded, so I'm not going to play all that today during this live. But you can go to my community board to check out the said information about law and crime. So what was really going on with him peeping around the property, stalking around the property, strange noises coming from the house. That's caught on a doorbell camera from the neighbors next door. How will this information impact the trial? In favor or not in favor of Mr. Kohberger? Will it give us a timeline of entry and death of the victims? Any eyewitnesses? I look forward to hearing that too. Anybody that can say they saw this thing or something that looked like him, a being that mirrored him, description of clothing, whatever, going or coming and or hanging around the house. That should be interesting as well. Second part of this live stream is pertaining to Kansas City, the three. As Cuomo said, he's going to stop calling them Kansas City Chief fans because they're more than that. And I would agree. I will agree. They had lives. They were people. They were more than just sports fans. So we're going to say the three Kansas City gentlemen who were found deceased. Let's get down to business, everybody. What in the world happened? I'm going to play you a little bit of audio from the mother. Different information, contradictories in this case, which is, I don't know where this case is going, but it's a hot mess. It's just a hot butter mess. I believe I got a few questions on my community page I wanted to talk to you all about. And then we will go into that commentary. Let's see. I asked a lot of questions the other day. I'll go ahead and read those results for those who have not taken the polls, feel free to take the polls pertaining to this case. If you were getting high with friends or not, saw them die, would you call police? 99% no, yes, 99% of you said yes, not sure, 1%. If others were present, will they come forward to say that they were in Jordan Willis's home January 7th and tell the truth about what they witnessed? 29% yes, 27% no, 23% not sure, 5% others were not there, 16% believe if true, one or more will. Very interesting. So basically, only 29% of you believe that if there were other people there, that they would come forward. We're going to talk about that too. Culpability. Does KCPD regret saying there's no foul play in the deaths of 3 men? 65% yes, 14% no, 20% not sure. Do you know your friends? Would they render aid to you in an emergency, nefarious situation? 58% yes, 8% no, 14% not sure. Hope so, 20%. Wow, that's deep. Do you think that family friends know that these 3 men use drugs, but fear saying so as not to reveal the truth? Embarrassment. 55% yes, 16% no, 29% not sure. Should Jordan Willis fire his attorney? 74% yes, 5% no, 21% not sure. Should Jordan Willis' lawyer stop talking to the news? 89% yes, 11% no. David Harrington's girlfriend says he did not use drugs. Do you believe this to be true or that she believes it? He used drugs, 17%. Didn't use drugs, 12%. She believes it, 42%. Not sure of either, 29%. Do you believe Jordan Willis's reasons for moving out of home? Yes, 7%. No, 81%. Not sure, 12%. Basically, the lawyer says he moved out because of scrutiny and all the flack he's been getting pertaining to this case. So only 7% of you believe the reasons he moved out. 81% of you do not believe the reasons. Are Jordan Willis and friends still friends? Yes, 14%, 52% no, 34% not sure. Did Jordan Willis and friend lawyer up because they're guilty of something? 70% says yes, 12% says no, 19% are not sure. Wow, wow, wow. Was it right for KCPD to rule no foul play in the deaths of 3 men? 6% of you said yes, 86% no, not sure, 8%. So now we hear that the 5th person alongside family says Jordan and attorney keep changing their story. Do relatives believe the 5th person's version, which is now been named as the Alex Weaver Lee? 7% of you said yes, that the relatives believe Alex's assertion of that night. 34% of you said no, 20% of you said some, 39% of you said not sure. So most of you are not even sure if the family actually believe Alex's version. Very interesting. If drugs poison is found in the 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans' deaths, sorry about that, will Jordan Willis' 5th friend or others be arrested? 38% yes, 14% no, 35% not sure, 13% doubt it. Will Jordan Willis dispute Alex's version of leaving his home at 12 a.m.? 54% says yes, 20% no, 27% not sure. After hearing the story about 3 Kansas City fans' deaths and version from 2 alleged friends, do you know your friends? 50% of you who voted, only 40 votes, said yes, 10% said no, 40% not sure. That's pretty bad. 40% of you not sure your friends will do the right thing by you. Damn, that's deep. Will Jordan Willis eventually admit he knew his friends were deceased or how they passed away? 16% yes, 53% said no, 31% not sure. Were there others at the home of Jordan Willis January 7th? 50% yes, 10% no, 38% not sure. What will the autopsy's toxicology reports reveal in the 3 Kansas City deaths? 52% of you believe drug overdose. 23% believe it's poison. 10% other, 16% not sure. If Jordan Willis knew his friends were deceased and female others never came looking, would he have eventually called 911? 13% yes. 60% of you said no, he wouldn't have called. 27% of you are not sure. Do you think that Jordan Willis is an alcoholic addict? 56% yes, 8% no, 36% not sure. Does Jordan Willis have no knowledge of friends' deaths? Yes, 13%. 69% no, 19% not sure. Did the fifth person see the three men deceased inside or outside and left out of fear of being involved or arrest? 31% yes, 28% no. That's almost a tie. 42% of you are not sure. Did the fifth person help Jordan Willis carry three Kansas City men outside? 16% yes, 44% no, 41% not sure. Regarding the three Kansas City men, their deaths, did the fifth person leave home at 12 a.m.? 30% yes, 10% no, 60% not sure. Did Jordan Willis take his dogs to dad's home after friend's death? 56% of you believe he did. 20% no, 24% not sure. Do you believe these men use drugs? 48% yes, 7% no, maybe 1, 13%, some, 11%, not sure, 22%. Your theory on how these men passed away. Intentional poison, bad drugs by Jordan, 45%. Overdose, 32%. Intentional poison, bad drugs by other parties, 6%. Not sure, 16%. Oh, wow, a lot of questions. Let's get down to business, everybody. Let's play the latest pertaining to this debacle coming out of Kansas City. A lot of questions. Still feel free to take the polls. Feel free to take the polls. The Queen will be 53 tomorrow. Thank you all for the wonderful birthday wishes. God bless all of you. Thank you so very much. I truly appreciate it. Okay, trying to get to the next conversation. Mama dead Kansas City Chiefs fan. Certain homeowner knows what happened. This is Banfield, everybody, News Nation. Does Mr. Jordan know what happened? And what about Mr. Alex Weimer Lee? Is he also involved in the knowledge of what happened to his friends?
He didn't, but he's with the drug force. So
hold on a minute. Go back.
And
did the detective mention anything about drugs at all?
No. He didn't, but he's with the drug force. So, that tells you a little bit there. And
I want to go ahead.
I want people to know that whatever comes out, whatever happened, these three men, they had families, they were hardworking, they were community people, they loved their lives, they had great lives. My son, he was an avid skier, he was a coach for baseball team. I mean, he had a full life. He wasn't a person that sat around and wasted his life. This should have never happened. Not to my son, not to Clayton, not to Ricky. They all deserve for this investigation to dig deep and to find out. Because I believe Jordan does know. And I'm asking Jordan tonight to please come forward and tell the truth, because he does know what happened that night. He was there, and he's the last one alive. He's the only one that can tell us and give all of our families some peace. And I know he might be scared. I know he is probably sad. And but he has to know. I'm sorry. He has to know that.
It's understandable.
We need answers. We need to know. We need to know the truth. And that nothing but the truth is going to work. And he won't get any rest. He won't feel good until he tells the truth.
Exactly. You hope, anyway.
And I believe there was a lot that happened that night. And I believe he knows exactly what happened.
Jennifer, what do you think happened? What do you think is the cause of the deaths of the 3 men, including your son, David?
I don't know.
Thank you, sweetheart.
I mean, everybody's speculating, that it was drugs. It could have been, I don't know. And if it was, then I want to know where it came from, because I know that the 3 guys did not have money to get anything. They were all, trying to take care of bills and their families. And at that point, none of them had money for that. And the only person that did was Jordan. So if anything was provided, it would have had to been by him. And that's
Jennifer
where
Marquez, I am just,
that this may be
I'm so
going.
sorry that, I'm just so sorry that you're going through this. This is just so traumatic, and you're right. There are families involved, people like you who are grieving and are grieving in a mystery. I would love to have you come back as we continue to follow the story. We will dig on it. We will absolutely dig on this. It will not be left unsolved. And I wish you the best, to not just you, but to your extended family as well, as you maneuver through this very difficult process. Thank you for doing this tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jennifer makes a really good point. Everyone needs to realize there are grieving families. While everyone else is trying to solve a mystery, there is tragedy that they are living every single minute. And we will continue to follow that story.
All right, Banfield, everybody, News Nation. Tragedy. Family suffering. Not a joke, not funny. Don't know what happened that fateful evening going into the morning, I guess, January 8th. Let's talk about what was said. Jennifer Marquez is the mother of David Harrington. She feels like Mr. Jordan is scared, sad. I want to say this about that commentary she just gave. That was a smart, tactical move. Now, whether she believes that or not, it was a tactical move. Because you see, I've heard this many times just from watching movies about a murder, such as Silence of the Lambs. When the governor's daughter was kidnapped, what did she do? She talked directly to the camera, and she was trying to appeal to the kidnapper to please bring her child home safely. And that's what you heard the cadet saying while watching it. She's trying to appeal to the abductor to make him feel like the person he's kidnapped is also a human being and deserves sparing. Now, in this case, these people are no longer alive, but it is believed that the homeowner has knowledge about the decedents. So instead of berating him and getting flippant and tripping and flipping out and accusations, she flipped the script. I know you're sad. I know you feel bad about what happened, but please tell us what happened. Reverse psychology. Well done. But you also have to remember that he's older, been to college educated, and we really don't know Mr. Jordan, who he is and what he's about. We don't know his disposition mentally. We don't know if something was done or given to the men on purpose And that's what weighs in the minds of many. Who is this man and what is his role? As I have said before in my commentary in talking about the subject matter, he has an answer for everything. Now, there are many times when you weigh a story out, you rush to judgment saying, yeah, he did it, she did it, it looks bad, highly circumstantial case, blah, blah, blah. Because that's all you have to go on. You weren't there. You're just looking at how people talk, what the lawyer says, what the police says, detective, sheriff, deputy, eyewitnesses. That's all you got. CCTV footage. But in this case, you have somebody who was just on the scene, saw the dead people. Mr. Jordan hired a lawyer, another person there by Mr. Lee. He now doesn't confirm what Jordan said. So now we got a back and a forth. And it does not look good. She talks about drug force, the person she was speaking to. That's very pivotal. Imagine that. Somebody's being investigated, perhaps. Who might that be? Who are they investigating in this case? Mr. Jordan, Mr. Lee, others that were there? Will we get names of the other people that were there? Will we find out nobody else was there? Because all that's going to be relevant versus what's found in the autopsy and the toxicology report. And as I told you, this will be a hailstorm if drugs weren't found in their systems. Because then you got to now say, okay, then what the hell did they die from? Because these men, whether they drank, heavy drinkers, I can't see any of them dying from alcohol poisoning. It's not to say it doesn't happen, but it's very rare in older adults. Usually alcohol poisoning comes from young people experimenting and binge drinking. And I've also asked that as well. What if we find out that they all are users and the family didn't want to say anything as to embarrass them? I brought you that in my poll. What's the truth? The girlfriend of David says he wasn't a user, that wasn't his thing, that wasn't his type. You also have the mother here, Miss Jennifer Marquez, saying, I don't know what happened. Okay? I don't know what happened. But I don't believe she thinks her child got high. But what is the truth to them getting high? Because what you think and what you know are two different things. Okay? She feels like a lot happened that night. Like what? Jordan knows what happened. She also believes the men didn't have money for drugs. And if they were using, he introduced them to it. He's the one that would have the money for it. They only had money for bills. And that's where I would have to correct Miss Marquez. There's no such thing as not having money. All walks of life get high on drugs. All walks of life have experimented on drugs and became addicted to drugs, number one. You do not have to have a lot of money to purchase drugs. It depends on what you're buying, who's selling it, and what you want. That's the game. There's no such thing as a person can't afford drugs. All walks of life get high. All walks of life experiment. So it doesn't matter because you've got to prove where it came from if indeed drugs are in their systems. How'd they get it? What was it? Have they been using before? Will toxicology reports show avid use that can date it back to a couple of months? And I believe that's where the hair follicles come in. That will show if it's maybe avid use of drugs is in the hair follicles. So that's what you have to ask. Are these people, were they using recreational, weekly, monthly? I don't know because I don't even know what happened. But I'm just saying it'll be interesting either way to find out that some were users, one was a user, two was a user, somebody decided to offer somebody something. So what happened? We'll get into that here shortly. But I do believe she used a tactical move by trying to show some type of kindness to Mr. Jordan, who has been incognito So let's ask that question. Mr. Jordan, have you reached out to Ms. Marquez and any of the other family members of the decedents? Number one, have you finally reached out to them, or are you only letting your lawyer reach out? Has the lawyers reached out to these people? From my understanding, this Mr. Alex has been in contact with these victims' families, but then we have to also question his disposition as well. What's the truth about him? Alex Weimer Lee is a friend of the decedents, probably a longer-winded friend than Mr. Jordan. My understanding is that Mr. Jordan is new to the block. He's a new kid on the block of 3 to 5 years. Don't have it verified, but that's what's circulated on news articles. Jealousy, rivalry, don't know. That's why you got to wait for the toxicology, because you can't make sense out of anything without any evidence. But she did mention drug task force, and that's very pivotal. And that would lead us to believe this is possibly drug related. Maybe they have found something out already, even from the autopsies, maybe not the full autopsies, but they found something, but naturally they can't reveal it till they get the toxicology reports back. My understanding, it was only done in 24 hours, less than 24 hours. So what did they find in the preliminary or a total autopsy of the 3 victims? What was found in their systems? Did any of them have any debilitating diseases, heart issues, brain issues? See, all that's going to matter. Levels of alcohol in the system, that's going to matter. Any needle marks in the arms, in the legs, in the neck. Because what if this is the case that they were injected? But then the flip side of that is somebody would have to hold somebody down. That's where the other people would come in. So some people are saying they believe they saw something. One relative believes they saw something. Saw what exactly? A drug deal? Would I have people using and selling drugs in my house if other people didn't use? That wouldn't be a good idea. So then this all goes back to Mr. Jordan, who he is and what he's about, how he navigated his home. Sometimes they were there when he wasn't there. Let his lawyer tell it. But do I really want to believe Mr. Paserno? Probably not. Because he's contradicted information he's brought forward on behalf of his client. And that's a problem for me as well. Because as they say in the street, the truth needs no explanation, and the truth never deviates. You don't keep changing if you're telling the truth. All right, let's get to some more information pertaining to these young men. Girlfriend denies that Mr. Harrington got high. Is that the truth? Is that the truth? Mercy, mercy me. Families are frustrated with lack of answers. News Nation is the source. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to hit the link to join the Queen and the chat and the viewing audience to give your opinion pertaining to both subject matters of Brian Kohberger, Kaylee Goncalves' comments from her parents, and also the 3 men who were found deceased in Kansas City. Thank you for joining me.
Families were understandably devastated. Joining me now exclusively is Jennifer Marquez. She is David Harrington's mom. Jennifer, thank you for doing this, and I am so sorry that we're meeting under
this is a recap of what she said.
What have the police told you, if anything?
They haven't told me anything. I spoke with a detective today, and he didn't release any information to me. I asked him a few questions, and I told him some things that I had heard from people that were David's friends, and he seemed interested in some things, but they did not give me any information. And it took me 3 calls to get anybody to call me back today. And that was the first time I'd spoken with anybody since about a week and a half now.
What did they tell you about Jordan Willis? Because they've spoken to him. They're not telling us what Jordan Willis has said, but did they say anything to you about what Jordan Willis said?
No, they have not said anything about what Jordan has said. The only things that I've heard are what his lawyer has said on the news. I have not heard a single thing from him or from the police about him. The reports I get are strictly from news.
So the detective never said anything like Jordan's story adds up or anything like that?
Well, yeah, 2 weeks ago, right when I found out, there was a police officer that I spoke to. I think it was the day after I found out what happened. I had called to ask what I was supposed to be doing. And an officer that I spoke to in the morning, when I was talking to him, he said that they were allowed to go in the night that they were called to Jordan's house, and that they looked around and that they took Jordan in and they talked to him, and that his story added up. And he hesitated for a minute and said, I'm not really allowed to go into very much, but when it's all released, it's going to make sense. And I thought, how could that make sense? It's only, in my perspective, it was only 2 days after I found out, or a day after I found out. So only a couple days after I saw my son.
They seem to think that something might make sense, which makes me wonder they maybe spotted something when they were in the home that night. Did the detective who talked to you tell you anything about what he saw inside the home? Like what was on the coffee table? Was there any drug paraphernalia? Anything that made him jump to that whole idea that it will make sense?
No, he didn't say anything, and it didn't sit well with me what he said. So I called back and talked to, at that time, the main detective that I had been told to talk to. And she somewhat corrected what he said. She said that they were still investigating everything. Nothing was determined, that she couldn't tell me anything, but that they hadn't stopped with the investigation. And that's pretty much what the detective told me today, is that they were still looking. And with some of the things that I told him that I'd heard, he seems a little interested, that there were things that he had not heard. And
what
I
things?
Feel like...
What sort of things?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say.
Did it have to do with anyone else in this? Did it have to do with anybody else in this story? Meaning there were 5 men who were together that night. 1 left at midnight, he says. The other was the homeowner, and the 3 victims included your son. Did the detective suggest there might be anybody else involved in that play?
No, it was basically all about Jordan, the conversation. And the person that left early, I've spoken with him, and we had a discussion, and I know that he's telling the truth, that he left early. And that...
Let's stop right there. She spoke to one person and then spoke to, I guess, somebody else in the department. So they really can't tell her anything, the second person. She spoke to Alex. This is the 5th person who's been revealed in this case, Alex Weimer Lee. She believes him, she says. What is it that he told her that makes him believable? So do the other family members' friends believe Alex Weimer Lee? Are there other people in this story? Because I'm waiting to hear who else is going to jump out of the helicopter to say, yeah, I was there. But if they know what's best for them, they probably won't come forward. Somebody has to give up their name. So will Mr. Weimer Lee and Mr. Jordan give up the names of the other people that were there? Will we find out that Mr. Lee has lied? He left later. Something nefarious happened in his house. He's covering it up with Jordan. I don't know. But what you have to ask yourself is, Weimer is the one who's known the victims longer. Now, pay attention. Jordan is the new kid on the block, allegedly. So are they only believing him because he's known them longer? Because we have seen cases of when people go missing or they're hurt, and the so-called associates, friends, lovers will act like they care, go over to the house to console the parents, go out for the search parties when they're missing, and they're the one behind the disappearance and the death of the person. And I'm not here to say Mr. Lee is a liar, but what I'm saying is you already got one person that seems deceptive. Then Mr. Lee is introduced. How do we know he wasn't there all along when the shit went down and he helped in some way and told Jordan, I'm out of here. Don't mention my name. I don't want to be wrapped up in no such and such. I ain't been in trouble, because we do find out he has a past from when he was younger, drug charges, some stuff about some pills that fell on the floor during a arrest of somebody in a club when he was 19, and some, I think some old petty weed stuff. But who is he now? Does he have any current charges? Because I'm getting this information off of somebody else's network. I haven't gone to Google anything. But this is just really, really deep. Because I'm just the type of person that once I hear that the main source is appearing to be deceptive, I can't believe anybody else that comes out. I hate to say that, because it's not to say that he's not telling the truth, but I don't know what to believe. I'm just saying. But right here, she's telling Banfield she believes Alex Lee.
And that when he left, my son was alive. And he is torn up. He's devastated. He lost 3 of his friends that night. And he wishes that he had stayed or could have done something. But when he left, everything was fine. And so that person has nothing to do with what happened. It's between Jordan and my son and the 2 others.
Very interesting. She is rallying for Mr. Lee. Why is that? Queen is curious. Why is she rallying for Mr. Lee? Anybody have any ideas? Is it because he's known the victims longer? He sounds believable. He was able to be reached by phone, text. Jordan was not. Very interesting information.
Clayton and Ricky.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
All right. That's Miss Jennifer Marquez, David Harrington's mother, speaking to Banfield. You're entitled to your opinion on the situation. I'm just at a loss of all of this, because this is just so bad. Bringing you the latest pertaining to this case. I'm just, as I said, a loss of words. Just, I don't know what to think anymore. It's kind of scary. I'm going to go to another source and then we'll just chop it up. The link is in the chat if you'd like to join the Queen and give your commentary. Feel free to come up and tell me how you feel about what has been released to the public in the past 2 weeks pertaining to these men. 21alivenews.com is my next source. Just bringing you a little bit of different commentary, because each network has something different pertaining to interviews and so on and so forth. So it's always something. I can't even keep up with the stories at this point, because it's like every network's got something different to say. Mr. Persona, he just loves talking to different people, but yet he has to keep changing everything. So it's like, I definitely can't listen to nothing he's saying. All right, just waiting for this information. In fact, after fifth person story comes out, Jordan's lawyer changed story again. Yeah, I know. That's what's so jacked up. Let me see if I can get this news broadcast to pull up.
Northland home. Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGinney, and David Harrington were found dead on January 9th. We are still waiting for the autopsy report to determine how they died, but foul play has been ruled out.
Tonight, we're hearing from the lawyer of the man who owns that house. He talked to KCTV5's Grace Smith, and she joins us now live. Grace, what is he saying about this mystery?
Yeah, Carolyn, he tells me he wants to make one thing clear. Jordan Willis is not responsible for the 3 deaths of the men found in the backyard of this home here. However, the family says they're not buying it.
And none of the stories are not even adding up or what he's saying. How do you not know there's 3 dead bodies in the back porch?
That's Adriana.
Torres is the mother of Ricky Johnson's child. He's one of the men found dead in the backyard of Jordan Willis's house.
Jordan had nothing to do with the deaths of his 3 friends.
John Pacerno is Willis's attorney. He says the men decided to go to Willis's house after watching the Chiefs game against the Chargers.
And then in the early morning hours, Jordan, around 2 a.m., he believes, he got sleepy. He said, I'm going to crash on the couch. And he said goodbye to his buddies, and he thought that they left out the front door.
Pacerno says the 5th man, who hasn't been identified by police, left about an hour before Willis went to the couch.
That's the last time he saw them, and he didn't know anything about them being in his backyard until police knocked on the door Tuesday evening at approximately 10 p.m.
With the case getting attention from around the country, Johnson's family says it's hard to even look at social media.
I never thought it would get as much attention as it has. I mean, I'm hoping that with the attention that it is getting, that it will get us closer to getting answers.
To find out what exactly happened in that backyard.
He doesn't have any suspicions about how they died any more than you do or I do, or unfortunately, the families who are grieving over the loss of their loved ones.
He says Willis has moved out of this home that he was renting, as we have reported to you. And he also told me that today he has taken a leave of absence from his job. Now, we are still waiting from the medical examiner's office to determine how these 3 men died, and we will be sure to keep you updated when we learn that information. Reporting live in the Northland, Grace Smith, KCTV 5 News.
Grace, thank you for that update.
Now, this was uploaded the 25th. Today's the 28th. So we now know who the 5th will is. Alex Weimer Lee. He was a friend to the decedents. I believe he grew up with them. Because in his commentary, Mr. Pacerno says he didn't want to, I guess, give the information out of the person's name. Well, we now know it's Alex Weimer Lee. So this is a 3-day-old storyline. Multiple families are searching for answers after 3 men were mysteriously found dead in the backyard of another friend's home, Kansas City, after watching Chiefs game together. The 3 men who have died are Ricky Johnson, 38. You hear the baby's mother speaking at the beginning of this live, commentary. Clayton McGinney, 36. David Harrington, 37. 3 men were at a rental home of a 4th friend, Jordan Willis. 5th unidentified friend was also there, and that is Mr. Lee. KCTV reports that the friends gathered at Willis's rental home January 7th to watch the Kansas City Chiefs together. 2 days later, the bodies of Johnson, McGinney, Harrington were found in the backyard. Officers responded to the home the night after receiving a call from McGinney's fiance. She told police she went to the house looking for McGinney. When no one answered the door, she broke into the basement of the home to look for him. I've seen pictures of the house. Where is the basement located? I'm curious. Not trying to be funny, but I haven't seen a basement window from the front or the back, unless it's on the right-hand side where that fence is lowered. And I'm trying to understand where she broke in. During her search, she told police she found the 3 bodies in the backyard, called 911. Kansas City Police Department said detectives are still waiting on results from the medical examiner's office to determine cause of death. However, they said there were no obvious signs of foul play, but the men's family said things just aren't adding up. Jordan Willis's attorney, Mr. John Pacerno, told KCTV that his client had absolutely nothing to do with the deaths of his 3 friends. Pacerno said the men have all been friends since high school, which we know that is not true. Mr. Jordan, I do not believe, was friends with them. So you need to correct that as well, sir. And that Willis is grieving their deaths. Is he grieving? Because he's not talking to anybody. So if you're grieving, why not call the mothers, girlfriends, whomever? All of you all could get on a Zoom call and talk to one another. Wishful thinking, I guess. Pacerno said the men have all been friends since high school once again, and that Mr. Willis is grieving their deaths. Willis has since moved out of the home where the death occurred. He's grieving. He had to move out of his home. He's had to shut down his social media. He's taken leave of absence from his job. So it's really affected him. Is it affecting him? Leave of absence or fired? Which is it? Just curious. Pacerno said the unidentified 5th friend left the home around 1 a.m., but we now learn he told the world 12 through his lawyer. What is the truth, everybody? Then Willis decided to go to bed around 2 a.m. on the couch. So we got different time zones here. Let's go back. Alex left at 1, says Mr. Paserno. Willis went to bed at 2, but Alex is telling the world he left at 12. Then in the early morning hours around 2 a.m., but Willis believes he got sleepy and said, I'm going to crash on the couch. He said goodbye to his buddies and he thought that they left out the front door, but you just came back and told us he saw them leave. They gave their goodbyes, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Lord have mercy. Paserno said that was the last time he saw his friends, that he was unaware of the bodies from the backyard for nearly 2 days until police responded to the home after McGinney's fiance found them. He didn't know anything about them being in the backyard until police knocked on the door Tuesday at approximately 10 p.m. When Paserno was asked why Willis didn't go outside for 2 days, he said he had no reason to go out into the backyard and he didn't know anyone was in the backyard. Adriana Reyes, who shares a child with Johnson, told KCTV that things aren't adding up. None of the stories are adding up about what Willis is saying. How do you not know there are 3 dead bodies on the back porch? Reyes said. This case has gained national attention on social media, leaving people wondering what happened. But Paserno remains adamant that his client is just as confused about the deaths as everyone else. He doesn't have any suspicions about how they died any more than you or I do. Or, unfortunately, the families who are grieving over the loss of their loved ones, Paserno said. He continued, Jordan Willis had absolutely nothing to do with their deaths. He does not know the timing or manner of their deaths, nor does he know how or when they exited his house. He had no knowledge that they remained in his backyard or that they needed medical attention. Had he known, he certainly would have called for help. The last time he saw them was when they left his house and he went to bed, quote unquote. Family members are pushing for answers and they say they hope the attention the case is getting will get them closer to knowing what happened. I never thought it would get as much attention as it has, but I'm hoping with the attention that it will get us closer to getting answers, said Johnson's niece, Stephanie Walling. Alan McGinney, Clayton McGinney's cousin, told KCTV his family is shocked, confused, beyond devastated because of his death. 100% I think the situation is strange, Alan McGinney said. It just hasn't really set in. I don't think it will. He added, I'm not looking for anyone's head or anything, but my cousin was frozen to the dirt for 2 days, quote unquote. Paserno said Willis allowed officers to search his home when they arrived Tuesday night. He also said the family members of the men did try to contact Willis when the man never came home after the Chiefs game. Paserno said, he explained in part, 2 people came to his house. However, he did not hear them as he sleeps with earbuds and a loud fan. One of those people, the wife of one of the deceased, tried to reach him via Facebook Messenger. Unfortunately, he did not see this message until after the police contacted him. 2 of his friends parked their cars on the street, and there were no cars parked in his driveway. Jordan did not notice the cars on the street, quote unquote. GoFundMe pages have been set up for all 3 of the men. McGinney's fundraiser said his fiance, who found the bodies, is left with the cost of a funeral and now must transition to a single income household. Very interesting. Johnson's fundraiser says he's an adored father to his 3 beautiful daughters, but also a cherished son, brother, uncle, and friend. And Harrington's fundraiser, set up by his mother, says, I have to put my son to rest. This was something we did not expect, as no parent ever does. Police said the investigation is ongoing and the medical examiner has not yet announced the causes of death. 21 alive is the source. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. So we've got this same BS of him not knowing about the friends. I don't like to keep repeating the same thing over and over because it gives me a headache. So we're just going to say he don't know anything about his friends leaving. I'm just going to say that. He doesn't know anything about them being in the back. He doesn't know anything about anybody calling. He doesn't know anything about anybody banging on the door. Don't you find it very interesting that Mr. Jordan Willis has an excuse for every known common sense question? That's what is baffling to me. You have an answer for everything that is deemed logical. But then logic also depends on how a person lives. So as I've said before in my previous streams, you do have people who don't leave their house. They don't sit outside on the porch. They have condos, houses, back porches, lanais, but they don't use them. So are we saying this is that guy? He just works from home, goes and uses the restroom, showers, eats out the refrigerator, turns on the stove every blue moon, but never looks out of a window pertaining to anything. Hold on, I got Gen 7 up here. 1 second. Gen 7, how are you? Jen? Hello? Jen's not saying anything. Anyway, I just find it strange. He has an answer for everything. Because it's just too convenient to keep giving different versions of when you saw the friends, didn't see the friends, didn't know they were outside, didn't know they were dead. Okay? You never got phone calls, messages, this and that. Facebook Messenger, as we've explained, if you're not friends with a person, you're not going to readily see the message. You have to go in to retrieve the message. Maybe that's the only thing he's told the truth about. But I find it strange, the one person, Mr. Lee, the next person introduced him to the story, he said he tried calling you. And another person, you didn't get those messages either. I think it's interesting that he's never called anybody the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Or let's say the 8th and the 9th. Don't you find that strange? He doesn't have any friends. He don't have any family members. He's got a dad. We know he has a dad because allegedly the dogs are with the dad. So you mean to tell me this grown-ass man never called anybody from the 8th through the 9th? Not one person. And didn't answer the phone when somebody called. That's strange to me. You also want me to believe he took 2 days off from work from the game so he didn't have to work on the computer for this scientist job. I'm a lot of things, but dumb ain't one of them. There's no way I believe 2 straight days into a work week, a beginning of a work week at that, you're not talking to anybody on the phone in between working. You never dial out, even for DoorDash, to get food delivered. Come on with it, Queen. You ain't going outside. It's snow outside. Okay, let me order me something to eat. So now I have to believe his refrigerator was full of food, freezer full of food. So what did he eat from the 8th up until the 9th when the police came? See, you have to ask all those pertinent questions because they're relevant. They are relevant. Gen 7, are you here? I can't hear. Gen 7. Hold on a minute. Jen's not turning her stuff on. Was he in a bender? Well, you still got to eat. At some point, you still have to urinate, use the bathroom, get something to eat. So this is why I ask these questions. What type of person is he? Is he the type of person that never looks out of his window? Because when you look at the house from front to back, it's filled with windows. Even on the top floors, there are windows. So you got windows in the front facing the street. You have windows in the back. The glass door to the kitchen, it's a window. So you want me to believe this man walks into his house, all the blinds are down, and he never says, let me see what the temperature is outside. Even if you don't go outside a lot, you still can open the door when it snows or rains just to see what the temperature is. Or he's that type of person. He never opens the doors or closes the doors. He only goes outside when he has to leave for the day or walk the dog. Now, here comes the dog issue. Now the dog just so happened to be gone while 3 dead people outside. Don't you see the coincidences? Fan on, earplugs on, no phone calls going out on his phone, no phone calls answered. No text messages from him going in or out. People banging on doors. Dogs gone on this faithful 2-day hiatus. Didn't work. Slept all day. It's too many excuses because the common denominator are the 3 dead people. That's the common denominator. The 3 dead people. Why is it that you have no motion in your life from the 8th, wee hours of the 8th up until the 9th at 10 o'clock? I don't know. She's got to come back up, Jen. You all are welcome to hit the link to join the Queen and give your commentary. It's just all baffling to me. Let's see what else I've got to bring to you because none of this is adding up. Like I said, he has too many excuses to have all these dead people on the property. That's, and then you have to ask the ultimate question. Would he have ever called the police once he found the bodies? This is why I believe he knew that they were there because he has an excuse for every question. I didn't hear anything. I slept in. I didn't get up. I got up sometimes. Come on now. The dogs were gone. Now, some of you believe the dogs wouldn't have barked looking at dead people. I don't know if I believe that. That's how some people have been alerted that they were dead. It's because the dogs were barking. Gen 7?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling me from?
Ohio, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay. I'm going to read one more article, then I'm going to let you have it, okay?
All right.
This is uploaded to 26, everybody. The fifth man who attended the Kansas City Chiefs watch party where these young men were found deceased is Alex Weimer Lee. I'm skimming over everything. David Harrington, 37. Ricky Johnson, 38. Clayton McGinney, 36. As most of you know, their bodies were found at this rental home belonging to Mr. Jordan Willis. Let's see what else I got. Try to finish this real quick. Okay. It was previously reported that Weimer Lee, according to his attorney Andrew Togg, arrived at the home 7 p.m. January 7th, left around midnight, while the 4 other men were still awake. So now it's 4. Another article about you said it was just the 3. So this is all confusing. Police found Harrington, Johnson, McGinney's bodies in Willis's rental home's yard 2 days after doing a welfare check. After scores of calls and texts to the phones went unanswered, Willis was also unreachable. Why is that? His lawyer has said he had been asleep on the couch next to a loud fan while wearing noise-canceling headphones for nearly 2 days. So we got to ask that. Does he normally sleep with a fan on and also earbuds? You're entitled to your opinion. The case is not being investigated as a homicide, and police have emphatically said that foul play is not suspected. Weimer Lee was childhood friends with the 3 men found dead, and Willis from their days at Park Hill High School, according to the Daily Mail. So now let's ask that. Did Mr. Willis go to the school, but he wasn't friends with them at that time? Because now this article says Weimer Lee was childhood friends with the 3 men found dead and Willis from their days at the Park Hill High School. So let's go here. What is the truth of the real friendship? Is Willis more friends with Lee than the 3 that were found deceased? Okay? Because our understanding is that Mr. Jordan just met everybody 3 to 5 years ago. And one thing we have to remember, just because people go to the same school, it does not mean they hung together or, knew of each other. Photographs on social media show Weimer Lee and his friends donning Kansas City Chiefs jerseys with massive smiles plastered on their faces. According to his attorney, Lee received a text from McGinney's fiance and from Johnson's mother, both asking about their loved ones. Lee texted both Willis and Johnson, but did not receive replies. Why not? Why no reply from your friend who left your house the night before, Mr. Jordan? Lee's lawyer's versions of events contradict several statements made by Willis's attorney, John Paserno, including that Willis saw all 4 of his friends around 2 a.m. and then went to sleep on his couch. Okay, so that's his assertion. It also contradicts Paserno's claims Willis did not receive any texts, only messages via Facebook Messenger. Messages for Tar were not immediately returned. Loved ones of the victims have publicly pointed fingers at Willis, with Harrington's father saying he's not buying the HIV research scientist version of what happened. Which version is that? Now, who said that? Loved ones of the victims. Okay. Willis' family is standing behind him, however, asserting that he is grieving the loss of his friends in the bizarre case. He would never in a million years do anything, Jordan Willis' father told the Post Thursday. These were all good friends of his. These were all people he went to school with, and he took them to a football game the day before the Chiefs. So here the father is saying they all went to school together. New York Post is the source. Turn your background down, Jen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but turn your background down. You got something playing, I think, echoing. TV or something. Do you have plugs in your ears? Do you have earplugs in? Oh, she's on. So while Jen gets it together, who do you believe? How many people are actually supporting Alex? Do they believe he's telling the truth? Who's all believing him? So far, Miss Marquez believes him. That's David's mom. Both got lawyers. Is that suspicious to you? Some people think you should get a lawyer anyway. Other people were there, allegedly, says Persona. Where were they? Was there any struggling, pinning anybody down? Did they witness something? Some people think they eyewitnessed something. Now that comes into foul play, how are you going to subdue the men without leaving any bruises, bruise marks, beatings? Alex has a past dealing with minute drugs. What has he been doing lately? Flooring company, I do believe he works, Mr. Alex. David's girlfriend says he doesn't use. Is that true? Did they use before or try something that night? What happened? The dogs, they were at the father's. Did they happen to go after the death or of the men? I'm curious. Will the father lie for his son, Jordan? Somebody says the father has amnesia, has dementia. So how does he know to remember anything if he's got dementia? This is very diabolical here. Never went outside to check the trash, the mail, pick up food. Didn't hear knocks. Didn't put any calls out. Didn't answer any calls in the text messages. This is too strange to have dead bodies in the backyard, and it's also too convenient, in my opinion. Too convenient. Connect your devices, Jen. Are the family members afraid to admit that these people use drugs? Did the men go outside to take a smoke and it was laced with something and then they passed out there? Was Jordan a non-smoker? Is this an issue of the guys wanted to do something, it was laced with something, they went outside, they took a smoke, a hit or something, then they all passed out, and then this guy just went on the bed? So you don't know what's the truth. Did they die inside or outside? Let's say they died inside. Jordan panicked, took them out. Did he have help? Because two guys are rather large. Mr. Harrington is large, or was large, and so was Mr. Ricky Johnson. So that'd been a lot of weight for him to pull out on his own. Did he have help by Mr. Lee or somebody else? Who are somebody else's? Will we find out about those people? Will we find out this is a flop house, party house? What will we find out? Jordan may be the odd man out. Is this a case of revenge? Angry with somebody, wanting to fit in? Did he lace drinks? Open some beers, put something in it, shook it around? I don't know. What will the autopsy tell us? What's their underlying hate by Jordan Willis toward the men or one of the men? Did he give them experimental drug and told them about it and they stupidly took it? Or he put the drug, as I said, in food or drinks? The mom says they couldn't afford it, Miss Marquez, but we know all walks of life have sampled drugs. And you don't need a lot of money to get high. So I don't believe that statement. They didn't have the money. I don't believe that. That makes no sense to me. There's no disrespect to her, but that makes no sense to me. Once again, all types of people get high, sample drugs. Was there a witness to a crime? Did somebody witness something? But once again, how are you going to explain killing 3 people without leaving any type of marks on them? No wounds. Were they pinned down by other people? What is the truth? Did the man lock them out? We've heard that mentioned in chat rooms. They got locked out. He got mad at them about something. He locked them out. But then that makes no sense because wouldn't they know how to break down a fence, break down this window? He's got glass in the door to the kitchen. Kick it in. Hey, why you lock us out? So you'd have to say hypothetical. He locked them out. They're out there under the influence, can't get in. Somebody's convulsing, doing this, and boop, 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 boop. Everybody falls down. And what? He went to sleep with the fan on and his earplugs. All right, Jen, take it away.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right. So the thing I was discussing with my husband the other night is, occasionally we'll have my brother-in-law, his wife over. We'll play cards. It's an open invitation. They can stay if they drank too much. Sometimes they accept, we'll go to bed. First thing we do every single morning, in this occasion, is look to see if they've left, if they're still here.
Yeah.
And if there's signs around the house, that people are still present. I mean, and that, think about moving around your house.
Let me interrupt you right there. Persano said that, because you can't believe anything he says. He says that, there's occasions where they're there and he's not there. Do you believe that?
No.
Okay.
Well, and even if that is the case, you're still going to, decide on, are you going to walk around your house like in your boxers or whatnot? You're going to come out of the shower in your towel, Like, you're going to know if there's people in your house.
Okay.
You're going to look and see if there's people in your house.
What if he's that type? What if he's that type? He don't give a damn about nothing. There are people who live like that. They got an open door policy, don't lock doors, people coming and going, people staying in the house while they're gone. He's not the type to look out windows. He's the type that might let the trash pile up. See where I'm going? Don't check the mail for 5-6 days. You do have people that live like that.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
All hypotheses.
Yeah. It's just, it's kind of unbelievable that, some of their belongings are still inside the home.
Yeah. I need verification on that because I'm hearing about that, but who is verifying that they saw wallets, keys inside of the house and the coat?
I'm actually not sure about that. If that was just family.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because so far, stuff I've read you, I haven't heard nobody say that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do. And Jordan's attorney's not helping in the matter
he's not
at all. I think he's hurting. I mean, if Jordan is not responsible for anything, I think his attorney is definitely hurting him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
let me ask you, what's your theory?
So if this Jordan person is really sleeping for 2 days, could it be possible that they all partaked in something and Jordan had the luxury of sleeping it off in his own home while the rest of them were outside?
Okay, but think about what you're saying. Whatever they took was lethal. So why are you able to sleep it off?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's before you get any type of toxicology.
If it killed 3, it would kill 4 or 5.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't buy into this guy sleeping for 2 days and doesn't know what's going on.
And don't you have to work? Don't you find that strange? That's why I said, what is strange about this story is any question that they have asked, any question in your own mind, he has a rebuttal for every known logical question. You didn't hear nobody knocking? Oh, earplugs, fan. Oh, he don't get around much. Oh, he don't look out the door. Oh, he don't look out the window. Just so happened 3 dead people inside, and you don't do anything but sleep. But yet you work for a major company that would need your services, I would assume.
Yeah. In 2 days, you don't go into your kitchen for a glass of water, some food. You don't see out the window. Like, it's just unbelievable.
Right. And the dogs just so happen to be gone on this day that 3 dead people are outside. See, there's an excuse for every known question, which to me is deceptive. Even if he stuck with the one version, it's still too odd.
It is odd.
No DoorDash?
I agree. Yeah. Did he eat? Did he drink? Yeah, there's a lot of, Did you shower? I mean, you just stayed upstairs in your bed for 2 days?
Yeah. On the couch? No. He's downstairs on the couch. I'm assuming that's what she found him.
Well, they went from the couch to from the room to the couch to the back up to the room.
Yeah, but see, do they even have a bedroom on that main level? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you don't change your story if you're telling the truth. I mean, it would be the same every time.
And maybe he should have thought about all that because I think he's had, 2 days to come up with a plausible story. But see, he's feeding this junk to Paserno because, as I told somebody in the chat the other day, I just refuse to believe the lawyer is going to make up stuff on his behalf. You're not going to make up nothing on my behalf and I'm paying you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to repeat what I told you.
Right. And I think it's kind of odd that he, if this attorney is coming out there and, telling different stories.
Yeah.
Jordan's reaction to that. Like, would he be like, no, that's not, that's not the story I told him because it looks really bad, like really bad right now.
Bad. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it could be personal? Let's say it's not fentanyl, any type of narcotic in their system. It's something else. Then what do you think it'd be, your theory on that?
You mean like
If there's no fentanyl, there's no drugs, there's no heroin, there's no crack, there's no none of that. There's no street drug in their systems. It's something else or undetermined, can't find anything. What would your theory be then?
Oh, I don't even know. Like, I can't even imagine three grown men just being outdoors in the elements and succumbing to the elements. Like, and
But
you know, I don't.
Question, though.
What?
I said I posed that question because everybody's dwelling on it being drugs, fentanyl. You're only dwelling on that because people have been overdosing on fentanyl. Well, let's just say it's not fentanyl. It's no heroin. It's nothing. What if it comes back undetermined because they can't even find anything? Now, what would your theory be?
Well, I mean, if it's going down another road where, you know, this guy actually had a hand in it, or even the fifth person, I mean.
Or six, because now it's some other people there.
Yeah, I thought I read an article and it almost seemed like there were more than six. Like, I thought I saw something about 2 or 3 other individuals said that the dogs were present in the home. I don't know what article that was.
I think Alex is the one to tell that the dog was there. So let's go back. Persano said, before we even knew Alex's name, that he was in agreement. So why do you think he would speak up and say, no, that's not what I saw witness, Mr. Alex Lee? Let's go back.
Right. I think, didn't he, yes, Jordan initially, or the attorney had said that the fifth individual was the last person to see them.
Corroborates Jordan's story. That's what he said. He corroborates. So what do you think happened?
No. I think now it's going to turn into a blame game. And maybe the two of them both know exactly what took place.
But do you think Alex knows more than what he's revealing to the public?
It's very possible, because the story that he left them all watching Jeopardy is also a little.
Why? Why is that?
Bizarre.
Why? Tell me why. You can't see grown men watching Jeopardy
at midnight. 3 grown men. They watched a football games all day, drinking, and now settling down to watch a game of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's possible.
He came up with.
Yeah, but I mean, at least his, according to his attorney, like, that hasn't changed.
Somebody
as far as I know.
Sounds personal. Jordan sounds shady.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's the one whose story has changed at least 3 times through his attorney.
Okay. So, do you agree that they should have gotten lawyers?
Definitely, Jordan should have lawyered up.
Do you believe other people were there?
I am not sure. I mean, unless they say, because the dogs have been a subject or a topic.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but just tell me, do you think there were people there besides the 5?
Late that night?
At that house.
Yeah, I do, actually, because you're in other venues or wherever they were watching these games, and everyone says, hey, we're all going back to Jordan's house.
Do you believe that? Do you even believe that they were somewhere else before they went to that house? See, it's too many questions to ask.
Yeah, there is. But I mean, that's all coming from Jordan's attorney, so I really don't know.
And that's why I'm dissecting everything he has said. Do you believe they were somewhere else before getting back to that house? What if we find out they never left?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right, because initially when the story came out, it was they were at Jordan's house for a watch party, and then it changed.
Okay,
that they were in different locations, different houses, and then they all went there at 7 p.m. So I mean, it very well could be that they were there the entire time, and that is maybe a defense. Well, they were here, they were there. If they ingested something that came from here, you know.
Because that's a possibility too. They went somewhere else and they were already geeked up on something before they got in the car. See, we don't know. We don't even know who was driving which car. We don't know which car is on the road. The dogs. Do you believe the dogs were there at the time of death?
If they were and he didn't let them outside, that would be pretty messy. I mean, I have two dogs. I don't ever drop my dogs off to say, you know.
Let me iterate, because I want you to think about what you just said, because now another light bulb went off. Okay. I already said that more than likely dogs would bark looking at dead people. Good point. Dogs would be boo-booing in the house because you know they're dead and you can't let them out. Let me take them to my dad's bingo card.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You. I mean, if the dogs were still there for even a day, there'd be evidence of that.
They got to go outside.
Right. In the snow, you know, there was snow on the ground.
And then if it snowed, then the footprints are going, oh man, this is really coming together now. The dogs are going to leave prints in the snow. So when the detectives come, they're going to say, okay, the dogs are walking around the dead people bingo card. How'd they get back in? Ding dong.
Yeah. Fresh piles and, you know, all kinds of things.
I mean, starting to come together.
Yeah, they'll know if those dogs are there.
Mm-hmm. Because the dogs will leave a print of where they walk to and fro. Then they're going to walk back up to the door, which will leave prints, which will lead us to believe if there's no doggy door, you open the door. Somebody to let the damn dogs back in. Shut your mouth.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And if he didn't let them out, then it's going to be in the house.
Say what? Honey?
Like if he knew they were out there, if he knew people were out there deceased, and he decided, I'm not letting my dogs out there, and his dogs in the house, then
because they're going to leave footprints. They say it's a little light snow, so they're going to leave a print. You want me to believe the dog ain't going to walk up to the dead people, lick on them? They're dogs.
Yeah. And I saw, it was a news interview with a neighbor or something, and there was still clearly snow on the ground.
Okay.
You know,
I saw them shoveling. They were shoveling.
Right.
That's the one you're talking about where the man and woman was shoveling snow. Very interesting.
It's very interesting. Anxious to see.
He knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anxious to see what comes out about this. But if I were their families, I would be. I'd be the same. You know.
Let's talk about the cars. Do you believe the cars were ever parked in the driveway?
So didn't they, well, family, okay, this is coming from family again, like there's never been, you know, any, police or anybody else coming out, but didn't they say they went, or the fiance that broke in, didn't they say that she saw the cars parked in the driveway still, and that's why she broke in?
I can't remember. I just would assume she saw the cars and knew that they, were in there, or wanted to question the homeowner.
Yeah. And I mean, how are people knocking on the doors and calling him, and then he doesn't miraculously wake up until police is at the door?
Yeah. Well, he didn't wake up with the police. He didn't have a choice. 9 times out of 10, she called the police for being inside or ran out. So he didn't have no choice but to open. He knew eventually that she would be calling the police because she's broken in. So you had to have had some type of confrontation with her. And see, I'm not hearing that either. What was said when she realized they were dead? Where was he at? So what did they say to each other? I'm not hearing any of that.
I know. I mean, I understand why the fiance hasn't come out and said anything, but at the same time, I'm curious too. Like, did she wake him up?
I'm not getting ready to play possum about what was said in the house, because I believe she's the one to say he went to the door with the empty wine glass. How would you know that? Because you were standing there.
Oh, she said that.
Yeah, somebody said that. She had to be the one to say. There's only 2 people there. Her and another guy went there when she broke in.
No, I didn't know if it was her or the police that said that he answered the door in boxers and an empty wine glass. I wasn't sure.
I would assume she stood there and watched. Why not? You're already there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they
Wow.
found any evidence of drug paraphernalia inside the house or on the persons of the decedents? See, nobody's ever
Well,
talked about that. What they found on the victims. You don't know if they had something in their pocket, a pipe, a weed, a joint, a bag of weed, or some other type of narcotics, or, you know.
right. But one of the biggest things is this guy had almost 48 hours, if there was paraphernalia in there, to just clean it up.
Yeah, right. But guess what?
So,
if you can get a
and
time
now
of
he's
death,
moved out.
if you can get a time of death, I don't know how that would work with them being frozen and getting what they had in their system, in their bloodstream, how long they would have been in there. But maybe they could do, some intricate toxicology to give time of ingestion. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when they do autopsy, they can tell when you last ate, and they probably give a time of when you last digested the food or didn't digest it.
Right. Well, one thing that I did hear, which was interesting, and it makes a lot of sense, since they were outside in a frozen state, that would slow down decomp.
Exactly.
Right.
It sure would.
So, I'm sure they have ways of, trying to put a timestamp on things, but I'm sure that would make it a little more difficult.
Okay. Ellie says, what about the tickets? Maybe they got a ticket on the car. Yeah, you have to ask that too. Are you allowed to park on the street where they live? That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question. See, that's why I said there's so many things you can ask pertaining to this debacle. I mean, the questions are endless. Yeah. Did anybody get a parking ticket? What about doorbell cameras? Will we find out somebody saw the comings and goings that night up until the 9th?
I've been interested about that also because, how many people have Ring doorbell cameras now? If they actually left the house and then re-entered the house,
Right. Just imagine, though, we find out there were lots of people coming and going. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. That opens it up, but I still can't wrap my head around this guy for 2 days.
Okay.
2 days not knowing what's going on.
So you don't believe that?
I don't, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I've had a hangover before, and I'm sorry. 2 days. 2 days, you're just oblivious to the world around you. Like, that's really hard to believe.
Yeah. Only people like that are people who, like I said, are recluses and people who are severely depressed that aren't paying attention to their surroundings outside. You know what I'm saying? Because you have people like that. They don't sweep the porch. They don't sweep the drive. They don't, you know what I mean? They let the trash pile up. There are people who actually live like that.
Yeah.
There are people who live like that. The only difference is they ain't got nobody dead on the porch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it'd be interested. I would be very interested.
She had a homeless man. I had a relative once tell me that last year. She had a homeless man living on her back patio and didn't know it. And I said, how could you not know it? You don't ever open the blinds? No, it stays dark in here. I said, yeah, and that's how he broke into your house. Because your house stayed dark. Your house didn't think nobody was doing anything in your house because you probably stay cooped up in your bedroom with your grandkids. You're not even moving about your apartment. You got to get it together.
Wow.
Yeah. So there are people who do live like that. They only stay in one room in their house or apartment. And they're only moving about to pee, urinate, bathe, and go to the refrigerator, back to that hole.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
There's no way I would have a balcony and I never open the blinds to look out on the balcony. That's ridiculous to me. But I don't live like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't either. And like I said, I have 2 dogs. And I mean, every morning, first thing, let the dogs out. I mean, it's cold out right now. I'm not hanging out outside, but
yeah,
I still have windows. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was raised in the Midwest, so I'm just sitting here in my right mind thinking, why would they want to be outside and it's nice and toasty on the inside? You don't have a bonfire going. You don't have a grill going. That's why Banfield asked that question. Well, did he have anything going on outside for them to be outside? So you don't have no bonfire, no grill going. So why would they go out there? Only reason I can see them going outside, this is how I feel, that they took a smoke. Jordan's not a smoker. So they said, come on, we don't like in the house. So we go outside. Then somebody said, hey, I got a joint. I got this. Want to try this? That's the only way I can see they went out to smoke. Somebody did something. All three did something, rather. And then they passed out there. But my understanding is that 2 were out in the grass and 1 was on the porch. So they 2 get sick and tried to walk. But then why am I walking toward the grass? If that's true, see, now we got to know the positions of the bodies.
Right.
Would I be trying to go back into the door to get help?
From what I've heard, 1 was sitting in a chair, right? Or the one that was on the porch. Did I hear that right?
I thought he was lying down. I ain't heard nobody don't sit in no chair.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I wish I could pull it up, but I also did see some pictures and I saw a cigarette in one of their hands. So I do think possibly going out to have a smoke. But it is very strange.
Oh, in a regular live photo when they were alive?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I was saying. Could it be he's a non-smoker? Hey, y'all can't smoke in my house. So they went outside and that's when somebody said, hey, I got this little something. And they did their exchange outside. Could it be that one of the guys brought a drug? See, we don't know because we don't have the toxicology. We're just doing hypothetical role playing here.
Mm-hmm.
Go outside, take a smoke, and then somebody decides to pass somebody something, and all 3 tried, and then they fall out there.
Yeah, but it is weird. They're all in separate areas of the yard.
That's what I thought I first heard. So then that don't make no sense. And so then you got to go back to the owner. You don't decide to come out to see where your friends went after taking a smoke break. Let's say they took a smoke break. You don't say, where the hell are they at?
Yeah. They just went outside. Where are they at?
Right.
I know. That's why I said earlier, this Jordan guy may not have had a hand in it. But I don't believe that he did not know that they were there.
Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah. May not have gave drugs, deliberately poisoned anybody, but at some point looked out and thought, oh, shit, they're dead. Now what am I going to do? Whether inside or outside. So he just played possum.
Yeah, exactly. Overwhelmed, sitting there like a statue. I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do? This is my career. This is everything. I'm going to be in big trouble. I'm going to play dumb.
Why not just tell the truth? I don't know what happened. They went outside for a smoke break, and then I wondered what happened to them, and I looked out, and they were out there, so I called, and then you called 911.
Right. Which makes you even more suspicious.
Because if you're not a witness to anything, then why not just tell the truth?
Right. Which makes it more suspicious. What else could he have contributed?
Yeah.
Like, why feel that guilty? Like, if these guys went out and did something on their own and, then
you just say they went outside and I wondered what happened. So I got up and looked, or I just went to bed. They said they were going to go outside for a minute and then I ended up falling asleep. They never came back in. I dozed off and then I never looked out, whichsoever.
Right. That would be way more believable.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that 1 or more were active users of narcotics or some type of drug?
Probably. I mean, it doesn't seem like from family accounts that they're like regular, like active users, but I can believe that, some guys get together and they're like, hey, you guys want to try this? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that they're like addicts or that's their lifestyle, but I believe that it's very possible that they could have, decided, hey, let's give it a shot. We're having a nice time. It's very possible. It doesn't mean that they're, like I said. But
Jordan wasn't a user. So let's say they find there is drugs in their system, then one would have to ask, did they take a drug test from Mr. Jordan? Then they sampled his hair, all that. If they even suspected it was drugs in the beginning, the police, hey, let's see your fingers. Let's test your hands. I bet you they didn't touch his hands and they didn't ask him for a blood sample.
No, I mean,
they should have.
It seemed like immediately they said no foul play, nothing to see here.
Yeah. Well, the autopsy was done in less than 24 hours. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, the autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think they found something in the autopsy, so that's why they quickly ruled no foul play. So whatever they found in the autopsy let them believe this wasn't, deliberate homicide, beat up, stabbed, so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah. No gunshot wounds, whatever. Yeah.
But guess what?
Like no physical.
What if somebody was injected, but then how you going to inject 3 people without somebody noticing?
Yeah, that would be
a little hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Very hard.
Somebody would fight back, scream, and everybody else would be like, what the hell's going on? What you doing? And it'd be an all-out ruckus brawl.
Mm-hmm. But then some other people mentioned poisoning. But, I mentioned
that myself. Since he was a scientist, could he have already had stuff ready in food or drinks or cupcakes or something? Had the food laced.
Right. But, how would you, he's moved out of the house now.
Yes.
He had days to get rid of any.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's where CCTV footage is going to play a role to see if indeed if there's something nefarious that went on in a house that he wanted to cover up, either by himself doing it, others, or the 3 men. Do you see him going to the trash bin or leaving out of his car, maybe to take trash out and dump it elsewhere? Do you think he left the house by car?
That'll be interesting to see. Because, they'll be able to, if they start actually investigating this, they'll know that. Does his car have, Well,
I would hope I hope that's what they're doing now. It is a death investigation. So with the death investigation, you are supposed to be checking garbage cans, drains, all that. Whether you think it's just an overdose or not, you still should check the house. You're supposed to check the bodies. You're supposed to check the person who owns the house, regardless.
Right.
Because I don't know the laws out there in Missouri as far as getting high with people in the overdose and something, but you don't report it. See, all this is about is proving once you get the toxicology reports back. Let's say there's drugs in their systems. Now you got to prove where it came from. 3 people are dead. They can't tell it.
Yeah.
And Jordan ain't going to say he gave them nothing. He ain't going to even say he knew that they got high. Why he going to do that?
Yeah, and I just wonder.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just wonder, what type of investigation did they do in the home? Like I said, he's moved out. Everything's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Did they just dismiss it?
And that's interesting, too. I never heard the neighbor say, yeah, I saw Pookie Ray helping them move stuff out. You got a big old house like that and you moved out quick. So you didn't really have nothing in there. So then that leads me to believe, why would you have a big old house like that and you can move out so quick and didn't have no help? See, I always tell people you have to pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
What if he was making a lab in there, as some girl was saying on another channel, a wet lab in there? He was using that house that big to do stuff in, experiment.
Right. How soon was the U-Haul in the driveway? How quickly did he move out? I don't know that either.
I don't think it was long. I don't think it was no week. I think a couple of days once everything hit the fan. Because the neighbor said, I saw the U-Haul there and I didn't see much movement, is what she told the news.
Wow.
So that would lead you to believe, okay, you loaded it up to the garage and carried everything out through the garage to where nobody could see you bringing stuff in and out. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But did he have help? That's another thing. Who helped him? How long was it before he moved out? Who helped him and where is he now?
Yeah.
Because people still can find you. So that's why I don't understand why he moved. Now, if the landlord wanted him out, that's different. But no matter where you go, you've got to use your government name.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the landlord wouldn't say, you need to get out today.
What? By law, he can't put you out in a day.
No. I think it's at least 30 days.
Yeah. Every state, yes, 30 days. Drug offenses are 3 days in most states, at least here in Tennessee, but still by law, you can take it to court to fight it just to get more time, to find you a place.
Mm-hmm.
You go to court.
Yeah, and I think even if you go to court, you can get more time.
Yeah, they extended about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So he's talking about, oh, my client left because of the scrutiny and this and that. Well, wherever you go, you can be Google. You got to use your government name and your social security number to get another apartment. I don't care where you go unless you're going to buy a place.
Yeah.
You can go to the bank and buy a house.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was really within days, like, wow. I mean,
yeah, I think it was
that sounds like running.
I don't think it's that long, because you got to remember, we're still in January. We're about to come out of this month, and this happened on the 7th. It didn't get to the news probably, but no later than the 10th, because it happened at 10 o'clock when they found the bodies. So it would have been the next day on the news, probably by noon. So let's go ahead and say the 10th. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about 18 days now. So 2 weeks, honey. Yeah, he got out of there probably within days.
Yeah, he ran.
Mm-hmm. And got him a lawyer.
Yeah. Yep. That's very suspicious. I mean, in my mind.
Well, let's say it's drugs in their systems. Do you think there would be an arrest?
I mean, if they could prove that
he gave it to them.
Yeah, who provided that? Like, I would think, right?
See, that's another problem.
Yeah.
I played commentary earlier with Miss Jennifer speaking. This is Dave's mother, Dave Harrington. And she said she didn't want to tell Banfield of what she was suspecting what she had heard. Because Banfield asked her, what have you heard? And she wouldn't say. She said, I don't think I can say it. I'd like to know what is it that she's heard that she doesn't want to say it loud on a TV screen about him, Jordan.
Oh, yeah, that she had heard terrible things. Is that what it was?
She didn't specify. She just said, I had heard things. And she said, well, what? And she didn't say.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, what is it that she heard about him that she feels like she can't say on a news broadcast?
Yeah. I know. It's interesting.
Let me slide this by you. And I don't know if you've thought of this before, but I'm a little intuitive about certain situations. Do you think possibly that Mr. Jordan Willis is a homosexual?
I mean, it's a possibility. He's successful. He's in the home by himself. I mean,
I think you're probably wondering where I'm going with that.
Maybe some type of jealousy.
Yes. Yeah. Could we have a man who is homosexual, bisexual, been hiding behind the facade of being straight for many years? He's finally meshed with some masculine guys that allegedly he went to school with, want to be accepted in crowd, but hiding, and maybe something was said by these guys, because I believe Mr. Harrington might be the jokester of the group. That's just a feeling I'm getting by looking at Facebook stuff. And could it be that something got said wrong? Let's just say if it's not drugs or drugs. And he decided to exact revenge against all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It's possible. And maybe these,
something I'm seeing in him. That's why I'm saying it. I think he might be feminine. That's why I mentioned that. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe he's harbored some type of resentment towards all of them for a very long time.
Kat says might be asexual. Kat, hit the link. Come up here and tell us what you mean. The link is in the chat. Hit the link, sweetheart. Ellie says possible. Paris says, Ellie, I disagree. There are many people who take narcotics recreationally. Oh, okay. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there could be some resentment towards this entire group of individuals.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe
I read some of Dave's comments on his Facebook page, and he seemed to come back quick with little smart answers when people would say things to him about the photographs. He always had an answer, and I thought maybe this could have gotten under the skin of this guy, that because there's always a jokester in the group of friends. I think everybody knows that. I don't care if you got women or men, and maybe this was personal.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I saw some comments. Some people were like, he was always a psycho, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes if people are socially, you know, like maybe he didn't quite fit in with the group and wanted to fit in with the group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whether if it's, you know, that or just not being socially accepted. I mean, you never know.
Well, that's the feeling I got when I first saw his picture with the dogs or whatever. He had the laptop in his lap. Something about, I don't know, it's just a feeling I got about him. I said, there's something deeper, whether it was drug related or not. It's just something I just saw in the photograph. As I said, I could be wrong. It's just my assertion. It's something about him that's strange to me. And I was seeing a guy who possibly may not have been accepted in his younger heyday. And he somehow met up with these people later in life or whatever and became friends with the group. Because there's always that one guy people bring in that other people weren't actually friends with. So that's why I asked the question, was he initially friends with all of them? Because one report says he's 3 to 5 years in. Then this last article I read to you said he knew, his daddy saying he knew all of them from school. But knowing me from school don't mean we hung when we were in school. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can see you walking the halls. That don't mean we hung together.
Right. And, you know, the one partner of one of the men, she had said she had heard his name mentioned. So that to me says, you know, he wasn't as close of a friend, but maybe more, you know, there's this guy, Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, say that again?
Well, I mean, so she was with, was it David?
One of the fiancés?
Yeah.
Greenie. That's the one that broke in?
I think so. Not the one that broke in. It was, yeah. But
Adriana.
She just did an interview and she was kind of like, yeah, I didn't really know this guy. She had heard his name, like he wasn't mentioned like, this is my best friend, Jordan.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think it's originally it's the 3.
Yeah. So I almost feel like these 3 hanging out, whatever, this Jordan guy is like, oh, come party at my place, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay. You know, I don't feel like, you know, maybe this guy was there, but maybe they weren't as close as the lawyer is
portraying it.
Exactly.
Because he's portraying a whole lot that he ain't got no receipt on.
Yeah.
The lawyer like an outcast,
playing it like,
even though supposedly he had money.
Yeah.
That's somebody's comment.
And unfortunately that, you know, you got a group of people and they want to go hang out somewhere. You're going to go somewhere where there's, you know.
Well, I haven't heard of him dating anyone. Don't you find that interesting? Nobody has spoke up except for his father. Where's his mother? Where's his girlfriend, sisters, brothers, friends? That's why I was telling people to pay attention to the information.
Right. There's nobody vouching for this guy, really.
Just a dad. And somebody says he's got dementia. That's true. I don't know. So where's his girlfriend, sidekicks, co-workers? Yeah. Come on, somebody. Involve somebody.
Right.
Neighbor?
You're very right about that.
No neighbors? Oh, he's quiet. He's nice. He speaks. Da-da-da-da. Where are his high school mates? So I always tell people, sometimes the truth is sitting right in front of you. You have to pay attention. You don't have anybody that's done a formal interview on the news in rally of Mr. Jordan Willis. Why not?
Very true.
Oh, very my goodness. It's dementia watching 2 pit bulls. Ellie, like I said, you can't make it up. Exactly. All of a sudden, daddy's keeping dogs. So does he normally babysit the dogs?
That's strange to me.
Say, I always see the dogs coming in and out. See, people don't really think that people are paying attention to how they're living. But I think in the long run, somebody's going to come forward and say, I always see him with the dogs when he comes out and walks them to use the potty. Oh,
yeah, or I
saw
always hear them barking in the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the daddy picking them up at 8 a.m. or I saw him getting in the car with the dog. See, people are dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to ask, where was Jordan's car parked this fateful morning? In the garage or in the drive?
Yeah. But why does he need a dog sitter if he works from home and he's home all the time?
Bingo. Ding.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was
But
gone
he wasn't
all day
on
with the day.
vacation.
Let's go there. They went out allegedly. So maybe he said, Daddy, we're going to be out a couple hours. The dog's going to need to go to the bathroom. I don't know. Is that doggy door still up? As one YouTuber said, the original pictures from the house a couple years ago. So is that doggy door still up? See, that's vital as well. If the doggy door is still up.
Yeah. But either way, if it was up and the dogs are letting themselves out, like we said earlier, you'll see dog prints in the snow. You'll see fresh piles, there'll be evidence if those dogs are there or not.
Yeah. Somebody's saying about the dogs, if they knew the dogs, it's not weird that he took the dogs to his dad's house if he's having a bunch of people over, but does he have a habit of taking the dogs to his dad's? Well, see, that's the whole point. We don't know. But we also know that a lot of people keep their dogs in their house, whether they have company or not, because this is what they can say. This is my house. You either like the dog or you don't.
Right.
I can put the dog in another room. But most people, dogs walk freely through their house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I visited somebody that had a dog this weekend, it was their child's dog. The point is, they kept in the cage while I was there. It looked like it had a pit mix, whatever. Very small apartment, really, to have a dog that size in it. But eventually, like I told her, the dog's going to need to be let out the cage and needs to move around. So, I didn't want to impose and saying keep, the dog locked in the cage, but it was too big to even be in the cage. And it was too big really to be roaming around a small apartment.
Yeah. Well, I have a good size house. I have 2 dogs. But when I have company over, I do crate my dogs because they do get excitable. But then once, things have settled a little bit, then we let the dogs out, let them go out, let them come in. Like it's just basically for the dog's anxiety. Does that make sense? But we don't go and drop the dogs off for, I don't know. People live differently.
Yeah, but you got a good point. If you were from home, there really was no reason to take the dogs over there unless you were going to be gone some winded hours and you needed somebody to take the dogs out to use the restroom. That's the only way I can see taking the dogs to the dad. You were going to be gone 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah. And if they were there.
People who work. What about the people who work and leave their dogs at home? How do their dogs get out to use the bathroom?
Well, I mean, most dogs are trained basically to hold it until, they get home from work and let them back out. But so he just left the dogs there for those 2 days too? The 2 days that he was sleeping?
When were the dogs returned? Very good question. Very good question. So
he dropped them off.
You can ask.
Yeah. And I mean, was the dad expecting him to come back and get the dogs Monday? And he's still sleeping,
right?
For 2 more days.
It sounds like a lie. Let's be truthful. You work from home. Most people have to go to work. That was not a holiday. The holiday didn't come until the 15th on Monday, which was Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. So do the math. Why are you incognito from your job at the beginning of the week? It's not the end of the week you took off. This wasn't jumping off at the end of the week. So think about all of that. Beginning of the week, no holiday. Why are you incognito and got to work? These guys would have to work. See, it doesn't add up.
I know. It really doesn't. And wasn't one of the things, one of the men didn't show up to work, and that was another red flag for family? I think I'm not sure. Probably all of them. I mean, it was a Sunday night. Okay. Sunday night into Monday. It was very strange. I can see why the family's all, but yeah, why is this guy just dropping his dogs off and sleeping for 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I said, when you look at everything being said by his attorney, he has an answer for everything logical as far as asking a logical question. It is just very strange that you have an answer for everything, such as no phone calls, period. Sleeping with headphones and a fan. You work from home, but yet you're incognito to somebody banging on doors. Your dog just miraculously is at daddy's. It's just too convenient.
Yes.
Oh, the cars weren't in the drive. They were on the street. But you never looked outside, front or back door. You never looked upstairs, out the upstairs windows for anything. It's just too peculiar. This man made no phone calls to anybody in 48 hours. Come on now.
Well, I mean, and that will be interesting.
That's bullshit.
Interesting to find out if, you know, these messages, like if they do take these phones, like if they do investigate like the way they should, and they do take these phones and find that he did read these messages from these family members searching for their loved ones.
Because that's what I heard, is that they could tell that the messages had been seen. So a dead man can't read the messages. So who was reading their phones if this account is true?
Yeah.
And where would you be reading them at? You wouldn't be standing outside in the cold reading their phones if indeed they had the phones on them. So that means they either left them inside or you took them out their persons outside.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked all the pertinent questions. Where were the phones found, wallets found, coats found,
keys,
any suspicious activity on anybody's debit card, cash out, bank cards, any money stolen? See, I asked all those questions.
Right. Yeah. And the one apparently didn't have a coat. Like I said, I don't know all this is true. Yeah, these are just, I feel like it's just family speaking out, but I mean, what do they have to lie about, honestly?
Well, that's a good question. Would they lie for these dead men?
Yeah. Well, I know family don't want to believe, you know, if it was, you know, yeah.
Drug usage.
Right.
Somebody got a hold of some bad drugs. Because then let's find that out, that it was drugs used by the guys and it caused them to die. Then why do we have two alive? So then we have to say those two didn't use drugs, Jordan and Alex.
Yeah.
And why would you feel comfortable to use drugs in somebody's house if they didn't use drugs? So you have to ask all those questions. You feel comfortable to pull some drugs out and hand it to your friend. Hey, let's take this, knowing that Jordan don't use. Let's just say hypothetical. They passed the drugs in the house. Well, let's go smoke outside. Let's go smoke the drug outside. And then they died out there. And this guy just never got up to inquire.
Well, and that's the unbelievable part to me. So that very well may have happened where they went out and did that. But I still don't believe that this guy was completely oblivious to the phone calls, the pounding on the door, the one breaking in, the 3 people outside, and it, you know, one being on the front porch or the back porch.
Yes.
You know, but
can you imagine?
He's got to have a part in it somehow.
Just watch and look out of a window and see dead people. And just think about if he periodically looked out there through the day up until that girl broke in.
Yeah.
That's why they say to be a fly on the wall.
I know.
Just imagine that, him periodically looking out there to see if they're out there, knowing they're not moving, they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call.
And that's what I was saying. You didn't come down and use your kitchen sink. You didn't get a glass of water. There was a window over the kitchen sink.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. And I believe that overlooked the patio.
Well, Danielle K, we learned that with my guest who was up here the other day. Her pods went out. See, I don't know about those ear pod things. I think I got a gift from a car dealer, and I don't even know how to work things, but they run off of some like battery or something. So that's a good question. What type of ear pods were there?
Oh yeah, I've used them, and yeah, they die. You have to recharge them. I mean, any earbuds. I mean, I don't have AirPods, but any earbuds, you have to recharge them.
Unless you use the one that's got the cord attached.
Yeah.
Or you plug it into your phone or something. I don't know.
Your phone that's giving you notifications of people trying to message you.
Somebody said you would have to have your nose on the window to see down to the patio under the window. Well, honey, the patio is on one level. It's a one-level patio. You can just walk straight out the door. There shouldn't have to be a bunch of straining to look out at the patio. The door goes straight onto the concrete slab. It's not like it was a upstairs patio porch or something. It's all ground level, the patio and the window and the windows to look out in the yard.
Okay, well, so maybe he couldn't see out the window, but this day and age, can you imagine
But he had a whole lot of windows.
someone?
As you've seen the house, I've looked at it on somebody's network. It was window for window for window for window. So trust me, he had nothing but windows on that backside to look out of. It was a bunch. Because the door is a window. I'm assuming they still got the same door that goes out to the patio.
Yeah, the sliding door, whatever that was.
Yeah, I'm talking about the door that swings in and out. That's glass in that window, in that door. So there's lots of glass to look out of, whether you looking out a kitchen window or not. It's still glass for glass for glass. I counted 5 just from somebody's video.
Yeah.
That's a lot of glass.
Okay,
So
but say you don't.
Blinds
you don't
open,
ever,
blinds closed, curtains, what?
Yeah. But say you don't look out any windows ever. You mean to tell me this day and age, you don't look at your phone for 2 days and see people messaging you, calling you?
See, that's suspicious too. So let's go there. You scratch the window situation. That's why I keep trying to tell people, if you still knock the pins down, it's all coming back suspect. Okay, I don't look out the windows. I keep the windows closed. I got blackout curtains. Okay, then what's wrong with your phone?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, he has a pretty important job, right? Like, no one's trying to contact him from his job about anything. He doesn't have to check emails, you know?
That's my point. You've made no phone calls, period, for 2 days. That sounds outrageous to me.
It is.
Not one text out, not accepting a text in, not a response coming in or nothing.
Right. I mean, my job
Alex
is.
said he called him. He didn't respond. He called or texted him. So why wouldn't you respond to him? Somebody thinks he was out on drugs himself and wasn't sleeping, was literally out of it. What do you think about that comment? Yeah. But that's the gist of the story.
Like you said earlier.
Everybody getting high, but you're the only one living, you and Alex. That you all don't find that strange. Come on now. You want to say he was doped up, that's why he slept. So why is he alive?
Yeah.
Oh, he got the batch that was untainted. Come on now. Will we find out that somebody brought drugs to the house, like a deal went on in the house exchange? Well, that's true. They didn't have to be sharing the same dope. Very true. But it still don't add up. So I'm still just suspect with this. No contact, no answering phones, no reply. I don't know if I believe that. Excuse me. Whew.
Yeah. The no reply to messages gets me more than anything.
As Danielle says, I can see one coincidence and maybe with one victim, but statistically, this is too much. Exactly. It's too convenient to have this many bodies dead and you're not calling anybody. You're not messaging. You're not accepting phone calls. You don't hear the door. The dogs are gone. These are all convenient answers to excuse 3 dead people in the back, in my opinion. Whether you a loner, recluse, you don't open the blinds, you don't ever look outside. It's still suspicious that all these things are happening around you in your phone and your door, and you are oblivious to door knocking, phone calls. Come on now. So that's why I said, imagine had nobody ever came looking for them. He probably would have never called the police if he did know they were out there. Did that occur to anybody in the chat? What happened if the girlfriend never got the address? They would have to put a bolo out on their cars. The police department. Well, Danielle, he was awake because that girl broke into the house. So I'm assuming they had some kind of words, but she's not telling us what she said to him in that house. Because I got to ask that question. Did she ever make contact with him in the house, or he ran somewhere and hid? See, I don't know because she's not saying. What was said when she broke in? Did she make contact with Jordan Willis? Hey, what are you doing in here? How'd you get in my house? Blah, blah, blah. Or he played possum. I don't know. Where was he at? Sleeping. Couch, bed, upstairs, downstairs. What? You talking about he got a basement? I can't even tell he got a basement. What? It's weird to me. I've seen pictures of it, but I'm just saying this is some strange information here. Strange information. She broke into the house next to the dead body in the backyard. Ellie, you're asking the wrong person, honey. I have no damn idea. I'm serious. I have no idea about anything. Lord Jesus. Jen, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Yeah, no, I was wondering that too. Like she broke into they said a basement window. And when I was watching the, it was a news thing where you remember they showed the neighbor shoveling and they were showing pictures of the outside of the house. I saw a screen missing from, it would have been the first floor, not the basement. Like, where was the basement window that she broke in? I mean, I'm just curious, like, not trying to like debunk anything, but that was, I was just curious. And the way it was, the way it sounded,
I think 8 months or something, APL.
Is like she didn't make contact with him, and it wasn't until police knocked on the door that he came down and answered the door. But I don't know. I mean, we would only know that if we spoke to her, you know, or she came out and gave her side of the story. But that is interesting to find out, like, when she did go in the house, where did he come out of?
Yeah, or did he come out?
Yeah.
Because she's not saying. So let's go to New York Post. Okay, so try to get this article pulled up. Let me play a little something right quick. Hold on. It's probably a recap of everything. This was uploaded to 26 January. It's all just baffling because you just rarely hear stories like when you hear people dead, it's usually because somebody shot them. You know what I'm saying? Killing spree, family domestic situation, robbery, or yes, they overdosed. Just saying. Just very, very strange. Hold on one second, honey. I'm going to play something right quick. It's taking its time circling. Oh, Lordy. I just hope we get an answer soon. I can't imagine going all the way to the end of February not knowing anything.
Yeah.
Let me see if they're playing anything. Oh, there's no sound. Oh, yeah, they're not playing any sound. They're just playing music. Okay. Let's see. The fifth man who attended a Kansas City Chiefs watch party and left before three of his friends were later found frozen to death in the host's backyard has been identified in a new report as Alex Weimer Lee. Lee went to high school with David Harrington, 37, Ricky Johnson, 38, and Clayton McGinney, 36, whose bodies were discovered outside of Jordan Willis' Kansas City rental home January 9th, 2 days after all five friends were there to watch football, the Daily Mail reported. So see, now we're getting a different story. They were there to watch the game, but they were with someone else. Okay. It was previously reported that Weimer Lee, according to his attorney, Andrew Taub, arrived 7 p.m. January 7th and left around midnight while the other four men were still awake and watching Jeopardy! Exclamation point. Weimer Lee did not respond to requests for comment by the Post. Police found Harrington, Johnson, and McGinney's bodies in Willis's rental home's yard 2 days later during a welfare check after scores of calls and texts to their phones went unanswered. Willis was also unreachable. His lawyer had said he had been asleep on the couch next to a loud fan while wearing noise-canceling headphones for nearly 2 days. Okay. All righty. The case is not being investigated as a homicide, and police have emphatically said that foul play is not suspected. Weimer Lee was childhood friends with the three men found dead and Willis from their days at Park Hill High School, according to the Daily Mail. Photographs on social media show Weimer Lee and his friends donning Kansas City Chiefs jerseys with massive smiles plastered on their faces. According to his attorney, Lee received a text from McGinney's fiance and from Johnson's mother, both asking about their loved ones. Lee texted both Willis and Johnson, but did not receive replies from either. So let's go there. Does it show that somebody looked at the message that he sent to the Willis and the dead guy? Lee's lawyer's version of events contradicts several statements made by Willis's attorney, John Paserno, including that Willis saw all four of his friends out around 2 a.m. and then went to sleep on his couch. Okay. It also contradicts Paserno's claims Willis did not receive any texts, only messages via Facebook Messenger. Messages for Taub were not immediately returned. Loved ones of the victims have publicly pointed fingers at Willis, with Harrington's father saying he's not buying the HIV research scientist version of what happened. Willis's family is standing by him, however, asserting that he is grieving the loss of his friends in the bizarre case. He would never in a million years do anything, Jordan Willis' father told the Post Thursday. They were all good friends of his. These were all people he went to school with and took them to a football game the day before the Chiefs. That is the New York Post. And also in this article, they've got something that talks about him being depressed. Let me go back up because this is right. Hold on a minute. I'm going to read that because I think that's interesting. I haven't heard of him being depressed. Girl, what you typing down there, Danielle? Oh, that's succinylcholine ricuronium. Oh, Jesus. So he's depressed by the accusations. It says he's devastated by the loss of his pals, very depressed by nationwide accusations that he may have had something to do with the deaths. Not only is the whole country accusing him of murdering his friends without factual details, evidence, or any charges at this time, but he also lost three close friends, a source who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Okay, this is crazy. He didn't get to say goodbye or go to their funerals due to the circumstances of these wild speculations and accusations. So I was wondering that. Did he go to the funerals? Did he ever talk to the family members? It says he didn't get to say goodbye, okay? No one seems to be willing to wait for the results of the toxicology report or wait for any other facts from the police department from a case that is still under investigation to make these speculations. The source slammed rumors that Willis was telling friends that David, 37, Ricky, 38, and Clayton, 36, had frozen to death in the days leading up to the tragic January 9th discovery. Willis's own family reportedly first learned of the tragedy through the media and weren't sure whether their loved one was among the dead, according to the source. So that's strange. He didn't even call his family to say his friends died. That's weird. The HIV research scientist spent the 48 hours asleep on the couch. Now you're hearing it here. New York Post. 48 hours asleep on the couch next to a loud fan while wearing noise-canceling headphones, blissfully unaware of the flurry of calls and messages of loved ones trying to locate the missing men. Johnson and Harrington's families have fiercely slammed Willis's story, even speculating that a crime could have been tied to Willis's career. as a scientist with the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative's Neutralizing Antibody Center Chief Lab. The mad scientist agenda is absolutely ridiculous, the source close to the Willis family said. Okay. The fact that he is a scientist is irrelevant. What's probably important to note, and maybe a reason why these families are saying they don't know Jordan, Jordan went to high school with several of these guys. After college, he spent probably close to 10 years in Nashville and San Diego doing his graduate and postdoctoral work, the source says. He moved back to KC 4 or 5 years ago and at some point reconnected with his high school friends, quote unquote. The diehard fans routinely shared pictures of themselves decked out in their Chiefs regalia to watch games and were planning on going to a January 13th game with tickets Willis bought for the group, which wasn't the first game he'd taken them all to this season. So he was the payee of these things. Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Willis' dad previously told the Post that his son had treated his friends to a game just one day before the tragedy. Okay. When asked how Willis could have spent 2 days inside his home without his dog alerting him to the dead bodies, the source told Fox Nation that the pet simply wasn't home. Although he belongs to Willis, the animal is somewhat of a therapy dog for Willis's father. Okay, interesting. Who the source said is suffering from Alzheimer's disease and spends most of the time at the family house. Willis had been living in a nearby rental home until the tragedy and the subsequent accusations, but was driven out by what his lawyer described as the fear of retaliation. His house was all over the news, multiple people driving by every day. People are threatening him on the internet, and everyone knows where his house is thanks to the news coverage. After the police cleared the house and this story became public, Jordan moved out as his privacy and safety were at risk. He's still cooperating with police, and the source said describing Willis as a good guy who loves his friends. The vitriol is awful, and I think people are afraid to speak up for him because of how vicious people are with these speculations, the source added. Police had emphatically said that the case is not being investigated as a homicide and that Willis is not being treated as a suspect. Toxicology reports for the deadbeat are still pending, which will affirm or deny law enforcement suspicions that they overdose on drugs, okay, making themselves vulnerable to the freezing overnight conditions. So the man is depressed. He's moved out. The dog is a therapy dog. This is very interesting now. For the father who is suffering from Alzheimer's and spends most of the time at the family house. So make that make sense. Then why would you be keeping the dog if it's supposed to be for your father? Checkmate. The pictures of him with the two dogs, where are they? And are they alive? See, it's starting to get real ignorant now.
Didn't that article say that all of the other four, including, I guess, Alex, was there until 2 a.m.?
I left behind 4. One commentary, I believe, by Persono is that he only saw 3. But then when I kept going in and getting more articles, now it's saying 4.
Right. Till 2 a.m. And if Jordan went to sleep, where's he getting that information? That they were there until 2 a.m. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just, every single thing I see is different.
I know. And that's what's the problem. 3 people, 4 people to the door, ain't at the door.
Midnight.
Sometimes they stay, sometimes they don't. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Right. It could get up to 8 people. We don't know.
And that's what's going to be interesting too. All jokes aside.
I mean, yeah.
Because where are we going with all this?
Yeah. There could have been a house full of people and they knew that these people were outside deceased and, you know.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. So now you got to find out who brought drugs, if it's drug related. Anybody laced it intentional to give it to the men? Are the men known to be users? 1 or 2 or more? All? Why do we have 2 alive, 3 dead? And how are you going to prove it if it happens to be poison or a laced drug? Because once it's inside the body, how are you going to prove how it got there? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it was ingested by a needle, ingested from the mouth, ingested through the nose, ingested in brownies, beer, liquor, how are you going to find out?
Well, you're not, because they cleared out the house. The house, you know, he's already moved out. And he's had a couple days to clear out any type of evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, if it was, you know, in a chip dip.
Ellie has a good point. Was Jordan expecting some favors he didn't receive for his generosity? Yes. And that's it. Well, Danielle, life insurance, how are you going to put life insurance on all these people and think people ain't going to find out you're the payee? That would get out some kind of way, I'm sure. But let's be truthful. If it's personal, like I say, we don't really know what's in their system. But let's just say, well, it's personal. You're right. Animosity toward these guys, maybe, like I said, who's to say what happened from the time they made it to the house to do whatever versus him buying tickets for them the day before? Because a lot can change in doing a favor for somebody on the 6th versus what the fuck jumped off on the 7th. Trust me, Queen can spin a story for you. Your ideology about a person can change within minutes. Because we don't know what was said or done by the people. Did they have an altercation, a disagreement? But like I said, if it was poisoning or laced drugs given to them deliberately by Mr. Jordan, you got to prove that he gave it to him with malice. Now, most states have laws about these lethal drugs. It doesn't matter how they got it. You gave it to them, you sold it, your ass is going down. If they can prove you gave it or you sold it, that's it. So you'll have to prove he gave it to them if indeed there are drugs in their system. The police they got to prove he is the culprit. He gave them a drug. He gave them a lace drug, experimental drug. He poisoned them. Got to prove it. But if they got something in their system that they could not normally get, you understand what I'm saying? Wouldn't have access to, then that's probably where Mr. Jordan will come in at. Oh, I didn't know. Okay. Well, he's a scientist. He knows what works and doesn't work. That's for sure. He would know all about drugs, prescriptions, because he's a scientist. So he's learning all type of things while going to school. And I don't know, just looking at the picture here just now of him, it's something. I think there's something going on with an identity issue. That's just me. I could be wrong. Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Jen?
Can I say, all right, so from the article you just read, and think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So he had gone to school, I don't know with all of them, but at least some of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he leaves for quite some time and goes off and gets various degrees, and then comes back and reconnects. Remember that?
Yeah. Let me address somebody in the chat. It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to mix the drugs. He has knowledge. He's a scientist. You want me to believe he went to school and has no knowledge of drugs? Come on now. He doesn't have to actually be working with the drugs. That does not mean he doesn't have knowledge of drugs. When you go study things in school, you don't necessarily have to be working in that field of such as like a pharmacist. Okay, we know the pharmacist knows about prescriptions, but the pharmacist also knows about what the meds can do to the body as far as side effects, because that's what they will study in school. It does not mean that the pharmacy is an MD, but he also knows the ramifications of using the drugs. Same thing with a scientist. A scientist is supposed to know about mixing these type of things, what can happen if ingested, what happens when you put them together. Go ahead.
So my main point was, so he leaves for quite a few years and then reconnects with these individuals. I wonder what his relationship was, honestly, prior to him leaving, and why he comes back and reconnects with them, and how soon does all of this happen once he reconnects with them? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
that
if there
article
was
said
any,
he's been back about 4 or 5 years.
oh, okay.
So just a couple years he's been back.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. When you mentioned, you know, if he has any feelings towards them, or, I mean, you never know, like revenge or.
Yeah, because people don't understand how that people hold grudges. And like I said, I'm not here to say what happened on the 7th. All I'm throwing out are hypotheses of what could have happened versus what's in the toxicology, which I don't know. But like I told people, just imagine everybody thinking this is about fentanyl. And then you get the report back, they ain't got fentanyl in them. Where you going to take it then?
Yeah. What's the reason why there's 3 people? Exactly.
Because if people want to say they don't use drugs, they ain't never used drugs, or I didn't know him to use drugs. And then you get the toxicology reports back that does not show no fentanyl, no Molly, no X. You talking about some new SHIT. You hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where do you go from there?
Criminal. It's criminal at that point. Because they can still be considered criminal if they get information about somebody being alive that could be selling the drug or manufacturing the drugs. See, you don't really know who's talking behind the scenes. You don't know who's going to the police department telling things. You don't know what somebody has seen on the doorbell cameras coming and going. See, you have no idea. Because it's those little things that we don't know that puts the pieces together in the puzzle.
Right. Yeah. I'll be very, yeah, I'm going to be watching.
Because oh my God, listen to Judy. I think they need to bring the girlfriends of those men. Maybe Jordan was having an affair with one of them. I don't know.
I doubt that.
I don't know about that. I'm trying to be funny. I don't think so, sweetie. But I understand. You're throwing out all type of possibilities. That's it. But my thing is, you don't know people. True. You don't know what people are getting into. Nobody's going to admit to their family, yes, if they're getting high. I get all of that. I just want these reports to hurry up and get done so this can be put to an end, because I'm sure they're tired of the, stories such as what I'm doing right here, bringing you commentary. But I don't make any claims of knowing what happened January 7th. I just think it's suspicious that a person doesn't have any knowledge of their surroundings. But I also know the flip side of that is that there are many people who don't pay attention to anything. I've talked to neighbors in all my years of living in apartments. They never hear nothing. They don't hear nothing. They don't see nothing. They don't pay attention to shit. They don't even go outside to check their car to make sure the damn whole car's still out there. Oh, I've been here for 2 days and I ain't been outside. So I know it can happen. It just sounds strange to us because there's 3 dead people outside. But there's people who actually live like that. They don't look out windows. They don't open the door if they hear people hollering, screaming. Somebody's out there saying, help me, help me. They never go out. They don't even look out. And when you live in major cities, you're taught not to get involved. And also I heard somebody say on this guy's on T-Rev's channel that what if these people are the type to no snitch rule? They don't tell on each other. They don't tell nothing. Even if they saw something happen, if they saw them being dropped dead, we ain't telling a soul. Because he said something, one of the panel guests said something about that county. The people have that type of mentality, some of them. They don't speak on stuff. They stick together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Danielle, that's what I said. He don't look like he's having an affair with any woman. Exactly. That's why I said, does he even have a girlfriend, boyfriend? Does he have any identity issues? Because I'm getting just a weird vibe about him that perhaps there's something else going on with him. That's just my assertion. I could be wrong. But they say he hung with them before, was friends with them before. So I don't know. But guess what? A lot can change in 10, 15 years. I'm not sure. They will go through their medical records and everything. Yeah, I hope they do. Just to see if anybody got anything that they've been taking or whatever. Well, Jen, do you have anything to say about my first topic about Mr. Brian Kohberger and Kaylee Goncalves' family assertion of what they was found her sitting upright in her bed at death?
Well, that's very interesting because initially we thought that they were, sleeping and had no idea that the attack was coming. So I haven't, I looked at that briefly, but I haven't
you gotta
really
also
been
think
able to
about
look
being
into that.
stabbed. Are you gonna lie down while being stabbed?
No.
You know what I mean.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It is. Yeah, I did see that they're trying to delay the trial until next year, summer next year, which is upsetting for the families. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see everything that comes out because, no one, had any idea that she had been sitting up and
that's the visual
may
of
have
that.
defended herself.
It's just the visual is just heart-wrenching to even think of someone
really is.
being found deceased sitting, upright, because she was cornered, as her parents said. She didn't have anywhere to run. She didn't have anywhere to go. And she said even with opening the door, it would bump into the bed. The door, I guess, didn't even open all the way. So just imagine this thing hovering over you all and you can't get out.
Can't even imagine. And especially for these parents,
right?
I have kids. I could not even imagine. Right. And what they're going through and the fact that this trial's being delayed and I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. And I just hate that this woman, they said there is a lot of information. The state has also agreed that, yes, she has a lot of information to go through, such as them, but they're ready to press forward. So, I guess they feel like, well, we're already ready. Why aren't you ready?
Yeah, exactly. Like they seem to have their ducks in a row. Like, why are you not ready? Exactly. Yeah. And that was my thought. And it just seems like a delay tactic. They want to buy more time. And think about that. What do you want mostly? Like, all right, so you're not going to find a jury that's going to be impartial. So what you want to happen is for, all of it to kind of settle a bit and not be as severe. So if you do have people on that jury, it's not going to be, if it's further out, it's not going to be in their hearts or affecting them in a way that it would be when it initially happened. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they want it to kind of like, I think you know what I'm saying, just fade in that respect in people's minds and not feel it the way they would if it happened sooner than later.
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
I think that's what they're going for. More time, more healing, more grieving. People, they don't feel the same feelings as if they, it just happened.
Yeah.
They're going to feel it less later. So if you get a jury up there on the stand, it's not going to affect them as much today or, a year from now as it would today. I think that's what they're shooting for, honestly. That's just my personal thoughts.
Oh, Lord. It's like never ending.
It is.
I really want an ending to this one. I'm tired of talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy world we live in.
Yeah. Do you think he was stalking them from Pennsylvania?
I don't know from Pennsylvania, but
because this time last year, they went to News Nation saying they believe that possibly he had been stalking them for a year. So for a year, he would have not been in Washington State. He would have been in Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, from what I saw, I know it was at least from when he first was in Washington State. I mean, I don't know Pennsylvania.
So that would have been the summer, perhaps. So think about that for a minute. Let's just say He would have had to start stalking him as soon as he touched down on soil then.
That's what I thought. Like, you know, like immediately. But I mean, social media and that, maybe that's why he decided to go there.
And that's what I had told the chat one day. I said, what if you find out Kohberger had been stalking the girls before even applying to Washington State? Because they're not going to mention that on a news broadcast unless somebody is spilling tea that they've seen records or messages possibly of him going in those girls' inboxes way before even applying to the university. That will be scary as hell because you get people's profiles come up. They don't necessarily live in your state, your city. They can just come up. Suggestions. You know, friend of a friend or however that goes. So.
That's so scary, for real.
Yeah, I mean,
could have been his decision.
He applied to school just to be close to the girl. Imagine that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Super scary.
Yeah,
but yeah, very likely. I mean, oh my gosh, like super. This guy was very intelligent. Like he probably could have went, you know, he probably had a lot of options.
Yeah, but he didn't know how to socialize with people because he was carrying all this dead weight from school, being teased and, you know, made fun of. And now he's an adult. He still don't know how to talk and act and navigate around people and women. So he just threw in the towel. Instead of, you know, trying to get some counseling, you know, get maybe some life coach classes or something to try to better his outlook on the world, he just succumbed to his inner thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is super scary. And there are so many people out there that are the same.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of these stories is that there are eerily similar people that are just like the people in the true crime stories. There will be another case similar to what happened to the Idaho 4. There will be another case similar, I'm sure, to this Kansas City story, because there always is.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And it's sad. And I, you know, during my live streams, I always try to give a little bit of, you know, security suggestions, especially for women, because, you know, a lot of women comment, you know, on the channel, and you do need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be careful what you post. You need to be careful where you go. You need to be careful what you tell people, because everybody is not your friend. You know, I've always said this about hanging with people. You could have 5, 6 people hanging together. They're usually friends of friends, relatives of friends. But you can best believe there's somebody in the group that don't like the people in the group.
Absolutely.
And everybody's walking around thinking everybody likes each other, but they don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying before. There could have been some, you know, harboring animosity or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Who's
you
to say
don't
they
know.
Jokes? Somebody was telling a bunch of foul jokes about him. You know, he was, even though there was 2 of the other guys that were kind of heavy, but you know, people still can pick on you about just the most minute of things you just don't know. That's why I want to hurry up and get the toxicology report so we can get on with this. You know, no more speculations. Let's get down to business. What do they have in their systems? But like I told people, it's going to be hell on wheels if they ain't got no dope in them. You think people are gossiping now, you're really going to have gossiping. They don't find no drugs in their system. Because even if it's marijuana, you can still lace marijuana with something. And then my understanding is that weed comes out of your system within a month. So how's that going to work? I don't know. Wait on the toxicology.
Right. Yeah. They wouldn't have froze to death. Like, I'm sorry, that's not gonna fly
you have to,
with anyone.
Like I said, you'd have to have been going in cardiac arrest or suffocating asphyxiation right there on that outside, and now you have to figure out if it's anything drug related, what would possess them to be standing out there in the cold when they're in the heat? It makes no sense. Why do we need to go outside and it's cold outside? The high was 37 degrees. I had read 39 somewhere in there, but anyway, high 37. And let's say it's 12 o'clock midnight or whenever they went outside. Well, the temperature would be lower than that. So let's say it would be at least 30 or so. I don't know. Why are we out here? Why are they outside? I wouldn't use no drugs anyway because you don't know what's in it. That's what people don't understand about getting high. You don't know what's in the drug. Anybody can come tell you, oh, here's a little bit of marijuana. Here's you a Molly. Here's you a X. Here's you. You don't know what's in that pill. Anybody can just hand you a pill and say, oh, it's for this. It could be something to stop your heart, any damn thing. How you know somebody didn't go in somebody's prescription pills and steal their pills for something else? That's the whole point of why they tell you never swap prescription medicine, because you don't know what a drug can do to you. Okay, stop it. Stop. Yeah, I know I've been eating too much pasta this weekend from that party. I'm like, oh my God, if you eat anything else, pasta, spaghetti, pasta, it's the same thing. They did have 3 carbs. She had 3 carbs. She said she didn't mean for that to happen. She wanted lasagna, but lasagna is still a pasta. So they made pasta with chicken. They made the cold macaroni, spaghetti salad, and then there was spaghetti. 3 pastas. I said, oh yeah, try to clog the arteries all the way up. Yeah, I like pasta too, but it's probably not good for you every day. Especially when this sauce was so creamy. Oh my God. I don't know what type of cheese that lady used. Whoever made the pasta, I mean, it was like saturated. It's a wonder the noodles didn't disappear. Well, anything else you want to add before I check out of here?
No, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for having me on your panel.
No. Anytime, Jen, you're welcome to come up. I wanted to knock these 2 out at the same time because it's, trying to do each individually, and I was kind of tired this weekend. But there is a story I want to bring to you guys. It's I think it's coming out of Texas. It's not a good story, but it needs attention so this doesn't happen to anybody else. And due to what we're talking about here, it's really relevant. It's about this funeral home, alleged funeral home. They have a guy working for them, and he's been soliciting people on the internet after their loved one dies, and he has been defrauding them of their money. He went on the run. They found him, and I want to talk about that story because I brought a case out from out west, and I didn't do an update on that. Those people have gotten charged with this organic funeral services, but they had bodies piled up in this building. And why nobody noticed the smell is beyond me. But I'm going to play the news broadcast probably tomorrow and let people hear what these victims' families have to say about the state of their loved ones. And I'm just going to say this before I check off this live stream. If anybody ever dies in your family, please do not conversate with anybody through Messenger. If somebody reaches out to you through Facebook or on your Facebook page about your mother passing away, your son, whomever, just block them, because that is not the appropriate way to get business for a funeral service. To me, this guy is like the lawyer and the ambulance chaser. They see a story that somebody got hit by a semi-truck, car wreck. Now they're rushing to the hospital with their business cards to ask you if you need representation so you can sue whomever. That's no different than what this guy's doing. But he puts a sinister spin on it. He ends up stealing and forging documents for the life insurance policy. And I don't know if this funeral home is involved, but they have to have some type of knowledge that this guy they have working for him or had, that he was up to no good because he was using their name. And anybody that would tell you don't call the funeral home, just call me or I'll show up at your house, that should let you know right there he's up to no good. And I got a sneaky suspicion that the funeral home, they're also in cahoots. They're also, because in order for you to scam 50 people, there's no way that the funeral home could not have known what he was doing, this guy that was working for them. But I'm just glad he's off the streets. Allegedly off the streets. And I'll bring you that commentary tomorrow. But like I said, don't let anybody contact you on social media if somebody passes away in your family, just because you can't trust people. And funeral homes don't do business like that. You're supposed to go to the funeral home. They're not supposed to contact you. Say what? Some guy in a Volvo coming to pick up a body. Well, that's what I'm saying. And I think these people realize that, you know, something's not right, and you should know better anyway. Somebody contacting you on the internet about your loved one. He's telling you don't call the funeral home. Why would I not call the funeral home if that's where my loved one's going to be? Or they're handling it. You know, whether you're having it at a church or wherever, they're still officiating the body. So why would I not call the funeral home? That makes no sense. That should be your red flag right there. Calling me on the internet, Facebook, and then telling me, oh, don't call the funeral home. Yeah. Please check out that content. It's on my community page. There's a press conference with the families in the background, with the chief or sheriff. And it's very interesting. It's very disturbing. I literally got sick to my stomach when I was watching it the other day because I could not believe that people fell for this scam from this guy. And there were at least 5 families up there giving their testimonies pertaining to this guy. It's a very terrible story. But I pray that there's justice for the victims and that everybody that had somebody cremated, that they get the right ashes. It's just a big old mess. But I want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you, Jen, for coming up here on the panel. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining me. God bless all of you. I will be 53 tomorrow by the grace of God. And I want to thank you all for the wonderful, kind birthday wishes on my community post and my video. It's been a journey to get here to 53, and I'm just glad to be alive. And I want to thank you all so much for the super chat, stickers, donations, the cash apps. Thank you so very much. Thank you for following this network. And if you would like to donate to this network, $Beganji, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live streams. And if not, you can just subscribe, like, share, and spread the content and the love of this network. Thank you so much. Prayers to the Idaho 4 families. Prayers to the families of the Kansas City 3 men. Praying that we get some information soon, and prayers that the family will be satisfied with the information brought forward from the toxicology reports and the autopsies, because I know it has to be hard for them hearing these just replay over and over with videos and social media posts. And I also want to say this before I check out of here from listening to T-Rev's channel. It was mentioned over there that people have been making fun of the victims. And I'm going to say this. I don't condone drug usage. To each its own. Okay? Let me say that. I don't know what these reports are going to bring. But if indeed it is drugs, it still has to be proven that they ingested it on their own, or somebody gave them something, or they passed it along laced. I don't know. But there's nothing funny about this story. There is nothing amusing about it. And if you are engaging and laughing at these dead people with memes and posts, there's something wrong with you. And in the end, you're going to end up like these 3, whether it be drug related or not, because we all got to leave here. And these people are having to grieve these people, men who left behind children, family members. One was a coach, Mr. Dave. They were human beings. They weren't just Kansas City Chiefs fans. They were individuals, and yes, they had lives. So no matter what you think of them or what you think you know of them, any gossip, innuendos, they still were human beings. And whatever they did, if we want to say they did anything nefarious to in their spare time, that was their choice, their business. But you have to have a receipt. But poking fun of the dead, you know, that's just not good to do, because we don't know what happened to them. And that's my content for this evening. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we don't need to be glorifying using drugs anyway, because many people do, you know, make fun of getting high and smoking and chiefing, and they're in rap videos and this and that. But there's always a price to pay for using anything, whether you think you know what it is and where it comes from. Because many people have left here just from using drugs, popping pills or whatever. And the point is, you can't come back. So there's nothing funny about being found deceased, period, whether it's foul play or not. And once again, like I said, imagine it's not drugs. Then where's this case going? Because then somebody has to stand account if there are no narcotics found in these gentlemen. That's going to be really wicked. That's going to be really wicked. That there were no lethal drugs or marijuana found in their system. So then that will go to criminality. And that's going to leave the two men standing and whoever else was in that house or wherever else they went. I don't know. Prayers to the families. Thank you all so much for joining me. You all have a wonderful week. God bless all of you. I'm going to have a chill day, chill evening for now. Try to celebrate my birthday tomorrow with some peace and quiet if possible. And I thank you all so much for the love. God bless all of you and welcome all new subs and viewers. And once again, thank you, Ms. Jen, for coming up here, being brave enough to give your opinion up here on this panel. And you're welcome up here anytime. And any of you are welcome to join the Queen. Once again, I'll be going live tomorrow to talk about this funeral home business and praying that these families can get justice for their loved ones. Yeah, that's the gist of the story, okay? People aren't valued when they're living. And that's the first thing I thought when I saw that story about the funeral home scam. People don't value you when you're alive. So what would make you think they would value when you're deceased? They wouldn't. So this man definitely don't care for the living. So he definitely didn't have any problem with tampering with the deceased. He's a despicable human being, and he's not the first. So once again, if you're going to be out here trying to locate somebody to do a quick service, cheap service, you better know who you're dealing with. You better check their credentials so you don't be disappointed down the road or scammed out your money or never get a body badly decomposed or urn full of dust. Because I'm going to be truthful. I don't know what remains are supposed to look like in an urn. I have no idea. I don't want to find out. Thank you all so much for joining me. You've been listening to The Vault XL.